the Most High.
Jesus is real, but you devils taught lies on Christ. So many lies that when we come with the truth, people think that the lies is the truth and that the truth is the lie.
Who changed the truth for God into a lie? In English, Jesus Christ, in Hebrew, is Yahweh Shai. So do or die. The immaculate conception is deception, along with the myth of giving gifts on December 25th. Christmas is Satan's clause, the birth of Nimrod, and not the son of God. To you was kind of odd. On the Passover, Christ was born in the spring. So now we bring the truth about the King of Kings. That's Black Jesus and not Caesar Borgias. And the facts can't be changed. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai.
Hebrew Israelites, Kwam Yashala.
It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High.
Shalom Israel.
Shalom.
Welcome to another class here at ISBHPK. We are located here in Houston, Texas. Address 8524 South Bracewell Boulevard, Houston, Texas. Zip code 77071. Here in Houston, we got classes Mondays and Wednesdays from 7 to 10 p.m. Fridays from 6 to 9 p.m. Shabbat, Saturday morning class, is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We also got classes out there in San Antonio, Texas. Address out there is 4219 Senegate Street. Zip code 78217. Again, that's for the school out there in San Antonio, Texas. With the brothers out there teaching, send a shout out to them. And we got in Albuquerque, New Mexico, we got classes out there as well. And we got Mashaba doing the Blog Talk Radio out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. You can listen to that if you want. If you have podcasts downloaded on your phone, you can subscribe to that to their channel on the podcast. And it's blogtalkradio.com/Mashaba, and it's MASHAHBA. Again, it's blogtalkradio/MASHAHBA, Mashaba. And they hold classes Monday through Friday, starting at 9:30 a.m. It's the perfect morning breakfast, the perfect morning morsel, where you can catch some Tuesday tidbits. You know, the brothers, they do a good job out there. So shout out to Mashaba, Gamar, Ahmad, Lakawad. You know, all the brothers out there that do the work in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Gamar, Kawad, shout out. And so Passover will be held here in Houston, Texas. It will be on the 21st of April. The location will be the Sterling Banquet Hall, venue number 2. The address is going to be 10112 Hammerly Boulevard, Houston, Texas, zip code 77080. It's the same place that we held the Passover from last year. So if you're in the Houston area, it's easy. It's located off the Beltway 8 North in Hammerly. So if you like to go there, if you like to attend the Passover, it's very easy to find it. Take the Beltway 8 North, or just know it's on the north side of the Beltway, and exit Hammerly, and it's right in that area, right next to the Beltway. So you don't gotta worry about driving down the street. So you just take the Beltway, exit the Beltway, and boom, it's right across the street from the Beltway. So yeah, man, if you're in the Houston area, definitely come and check out the Passover. Congregate for the Passover. If you're out of town, if you're able to make it, definitely congregate for the Passover. And Israel will not be taking any orders till after the Passover is over. And also, kids class is postponed until after the Passover as well. And but right now, coming up, we got Purim coming up on March the 18th. which is, today is March the 11th. So Purim will be a week from now, and it'll be on March the 18th and 19th. Again, Purim will be on March the 18th and the 19th.
Yeah, on that Monday, we won't be having no class. All right? Turn me up. Turn up my headphones. Yeah, on Monday, we won't have no class because we'll be celebrating Purim. We do it in the night because that's when everybody's off work. Easiest time for everybody to get together. So the 18th is the Monday. We won't have class that Monday. We'll be at Kazakia's house, and then on the 19th, which is Tuesday, we'll be here at the school.
Okay.
So if you want to congregate, you want to get together with us, just hit us up.
Definitely.
Make sure you RSVP. I don't know if you said it, but make sure you RSVP for the Passover. All right, the link is inside the description of this class. Okay.
Yes, sir. And also, you know, we got classes. We ask that you like, share, and subscribe to our channels. We got the ISBHBK Kids. For the kids, we got the 5 Minutes of Wisdom. You know, definitely get that out. We got the ISBHBK Cable Show channel. You know, where we go over certain topics. Definitely like, share, and subscribe and get those videos out. And also our live classes, like right now, we got the live class going on. We ask that you like and share and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel. But definitely, if you're logged in right now listening to the class, we ask that you definitely like. That way it could be on the top of the recommended list. And we got, you know, the brother Priest Quatzazop sitting right here to my left. If you'd like to reach him, definitely only text during class. His number is 303-557-8979. Again, his number is 303-557-8979. And we also got the priest Chazakia. He's not here today, but his number is 281-707-2737. Again, you got the brother priest Chazakia. His number is 281-707-2737. We ask again that you only text during class. And if you got any emails, concerns, anything like that, definitely email us at isbhbk@isbhbk.org. And if you'd like to help with the Passover, if you'd like to send a donation in for the Passover, any alms, tithes, priest offerings, anything like that, the Wells Fargo account number is on the screen. The Google Wallet account number is on the screen. Any form of contribution is welcome and needed. If you would like to help, to pay for the spot for the Passover, or if you would like to help to pay for the lambs for the Passover, if you would just like to help with anything concerning the Passover or anything just concerning the school, whether it's the rent for the school, the bills, the cable, the internet that we use to broadcast, if you would like to help out with anything, any form of contribution is welcome and needed. And with that, we're going to open it up for questions.
No, what we're going to do?
Oh, Slack, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. What we're going to do, we're going to go into this Daniel chapter 7. We're going to break down this chapter. So, I mean, we should be able to get through it. And we should have time for questions after. I just want to get through the class. I don't want this to be broken up into 2 different videos. So let's get through this. And then if y'all have questions off the topic and we have time after, we'll hit the questions. We'll just do it a little different for the sake of not having to put this on 2 different videos. Try to get 1 chapter per video. All right, so let's go to Daniel chapter 1. A lot of writing, a lot of history. It will repeat itself, but it's a lot of writing. So just gotta listen carefully. Go to Daniel chapter 7. And verse 1.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon,
Go ahead.
Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters.
Right, so in the first year of Belshazzar, who is the king of Babylon, or the king of the Babylonians, Daniel had a dream. So what's going to happen in this chapter is he's gonna tell us what the dream is, and then the interpretation of the dream. And this Daniel's the 7th chapter is very, 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 very important, because it destroys a lot of things. It destroys that the Edomites are the Arabics. It destroys that. It destroys that. It destroys that we have to go all the way to somewhere else to. No, you got that. That we have to go. We got to leave America. Oh, okay, you good. It destroys. It's going to destroy a few things if you're paying attention, and we'll make sure we bring it out. We'll make sure that we bring it out, the points that we're trying to make. There's a lot of history in this, and you're really going to see once the Bible edifies itself. This is going to be a perfect example of how the Bible edifies itself, and how the Bible is a history book. How it's written symbolically. Well, before I say it, who knows how the Bible's written? You know? Three ways?
I don't know exactly. No.
You know, Max?
Historically. Laws.
Historic.
History. Law. And symbolism.
Symbolism.
And prophecy.
So it's written. It's 3 ways. It's 3 ways.
Oh.
You gotta be doing weird hand signals.
Oh.
It's 3 ways. It's 3 ways. Let me not use no hand signals. You're gonna go like, see, they use weird hand signals. It's 3 ways. It's symbolic, prophetic, and historic. So this chapter, very beautiful chapter, is going to show you all 3 of the ways the Bible is written. Because Daniel's 7th chapter is prophecy. A lot of it has happened. But you got to remember, at this time, none of this happened. In this time of Daniel, none of these things that he had the vision about had happened yet. But a lot of these things have already happened. So it's prophecy. It's going to show you historical figures. Yes, the Bible speaks of historical figures. Okay? So it's not just it's going to knock out like, oh, it's some made up comic book. The names, the places, they're all real. Belshazzar was a real dude. He was a real king. Yep. So you can read about him in Esau's history. They talk about him, right? So, but the Bible references him also. And then you're going to see the symbolism of all the different things in this chapter. When we go into the beast and the horns and all these things that the church tries to break down, they break it down wrong. Because the Bible is going to edify it. That's all you really need. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. Go there real quick, Isaiah. Where you at? Go to Isaiah. This ain't part of the breakdown, but, go to Isaiah. What is it? 34:16, yeah?
34:16.
Read that.
Isaiah chapter 34, verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail.
Go ahead.
None shall want her mate.
Yeah, no one of these, speaking of the prophecies, shall fail. And none shall want her mate, meaning I don't need to go to any other book to understand the Bible. Why? Go to Isaiah 8:20. Excuse me, Isaiah 29:9.
Isaiah chapter 29, verse 9. Stay yourselves.
Oh, that's not it. Go to Isaiah 8:20. He's up on precept? Yeah. No. Go to not Isaiah 8:20. I'm sorry. It's what do I want, Max?
28:13.
Precept upon precept? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I said 29 and you said 28:9. Okay, go there.
Isaiah chapter 28, verse 10.
This is why you don't need to go to any other books to understand the Bible. Read.
For precept must be upon precept.
Precept must be upon precept. Go ahead.
Precept upon precept.
We're learning how to read the Bible. Read up. Read up a little bit.
Verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge?
Right, you see that? Who's going to learn this knowledge? Who's going to be able to understand this Daniel's breakdown? Go ahead.
And whom shall he make to understand doctrine?
And who's going to be able to understand the doctrine, the teachings? Read.
Them that are weaned from the milk.
Them that are weaned from the milk. Go ahead.
And drawn from the breast.
Right, because you don't give a baby when he starts out, you don't just start hitting him with steaks. You don't start hitting him with solid foods. You gotta let him get that milk. Right? Get the proper nourishment. Go ahead.
For precept must be upon precept.
This is how you feed the baby. You feed him precept upon precept. Come on.
Precept upon precept.
Precept with precepts. Read.
Line upon line.
Line upon line.
Line upon line.
Read.
Here a little.
Right, I might have to go here in Daniel. I'm reading, but I might have to jump over to Ezekiel to get the understanding. Read.
And there a little.
You see that? Here a little, and then there a little. Read.
For stammering lips and another tongue.
That's it on that. So, just, remember, the Bible is going to definitely edify itself on these chapters like Daniel 7, Daniel's 8, Zechariah 5. But then you also got to know a little bit of history. You definitely got to do your research and know what happened in history, in the 1950s, the 1920s, the 40s. You got to know what happened with these different governments and countries. You got to know what happened in the history, when these Romans and Persians and Medes and Greeks, when they came into power. So you do need history to back up the things that you're reading. The history will edify more. All right? So let's jump over to Daniel 7 and 1.
Read from the top.
Read it from the top.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Right,
so Belshazzar, so the way you want to do this, you want to write Belshazzar, right, on your paper, because you're going to be taking a lot of notes. So you want to write Belshazzar, and then I'm going to give you who he was. He was the second king of the Babylonian Empire. You can do that. Yeah, he's going to read so y'all can write. He's going to read so y'all can write. All right, so you can sit. Yeah, he'll read, y'all can write it down. So you write down Belshazzar, second king of the Babylonian Empire, son of Nebuchadnezzar. Don't worry, I ain't gonna rush. I know it's a lot of writing. That's why I said I wanted to start it, knock it out. Right? And if you can do shorthand notes, do that. Belshazzar, second king of Babylonian Empire, son of Nebuchadnezzar.
Son of Nebuchadnezzar.
Right.
And you spell Nebuchadnezzar Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar. Y'all got that?
Come on.
All right.
Verse 2.
Verse 2. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 2. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the earth strove upon the great sea.
Right. So each verse is going to be broken down, because you got to know what it's talking about. This vision is very in depth. So he said, Daniel spoke and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven. So you would write four winds. The four winds equal these four nations that are going to come to power. So four winds equal four nations. And we'll get into what four nations those are. Four winds equal four nations. Heaven equals power and rulership of the earth. So it says the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. So when it said they strove, that means that they warred against each other. So you put strove, warring, or warred.
Strove mean war?
Warred. They warred. Yeah, W-A-R-E-D. They warred.
Oh, ward.
Warred. We're at Daniel chapter 7 and verse 2. Again, it's a lot of writing, so just bear with me. It'll all come together.
So when you say ward, is that like sectioned off, or
No,
is that
war, like fought.
Oh, ward.
War.
Okay, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
war or fighting. It said they strove. They strove against each other. They warred with each other.
Con.
Right. Then the sea equals different nations. The sea equals different nations, or just nations. And then we're going to go to Revelation chapter 17 and verse 15. There's a precept to prove that, what the sea stands for.
Revelations chapter 17 and verse 15. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest were
the waters or the seas, go ahead,
which thou sawest, where the whore sit, are peoples.
They're what?
Peoples.
So the waters equal people. The waters or seas, when it speaks of seas, it's talking about nations or people. Watch, read on.
And multitudes.
And what?
And multitudes.
You know when they say like a sea, it's a sea of people. You ever hear that terminology? It's a sea of people. That's what it's going into. The sea represents the people or nations. Go ahead.
And nations.
You see that? So that's a precept upon precept, line upon line. Here a little, there a little. It's a precept to edify what it meant by seas in Daniel the 7th chapter and the 2nd verse. Y'all with me so far?
Come.
If anybody has any questions or needs me to slow down, to say something. Go ahead, read on. Daniel 7 and verse 3.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 3.
Read verse 2 again.
Verse 2. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 2.
Go ahead.
Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night.
Right, so he was telling what his vision was. Go ahead.
And behold, the four winds of the heavens strove.
So 4 nations with power and rulership on the earth fought one against another. Go ahead.
Strove upon the great sea.
Right, they war with nations, different nations. Right? Y'all with me?
Come.
Let's go to verse 3.
Verse 3. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea.
So go ahead.
Diverse one from another.
Right. Now, 4 great beasts equal 4 great nations. 4 great nations are going to spring up. Who can guess what those 4 are? What's that?
Russia.
Go ahead.
China.
Go ahead.
Iran.
Go ahead.
And Russia, China, Iran, North Korea.
All wrong. We got a good idea, but we're going further back into history.
I was like,
We're going all the way back into history.
Yeah. Those 4 nations.
Those 4, we're going way back to the inception. What 4 nations came into power that have rulership now?
They have rulership now?
Yeah, one of them has rulership now. It's a branch off.
Russia? No, you said they all were wrong. The first ones I said.
Yeah. What'd you say?
I only know because I'm looking at it.
You looking at the picture? She's cheating. It's all good. You said what?
I remember some from class. Even if I wasn't looking, I would have remembered.
Good.
So what is it though? What is it? See.
Well, I'm looking at it, but I can.
No, what is it?
No, she's looking at it. Don't give it away. We'll break it down as we go. I don't want her to give it away anyway. I just wanted to see if they knew. What you got? What you think? 4 nations. This is way back in the BCs.
Egypt got to be one. Egyptians.
What else?
Greeks.
That's one.
Romans.
It's another. Who came before them?
Grecians.
The Egyptians.
Babylonians.
That's another one. The Egyptians were a great nation, but They're not in there.
Oh, it's not the so it was the Babylonians, Romans.
What was that?
So one of the nations are the nation that had it was the nation that had us in captivity during the time of Esther. So if y'all were here for that Esther class,
that was our first. That was no, it wasn't our first. I said that was our first captivity. Persian and Medes. Right. So you had your Persian and Medes, you had your Babylonians, you had your Greeks, and then you had your Romans. Those were the four great nations. You don't gotta write that yet. You don't gotta write that yet. We'll get there and break those down. So four great beasts equal four great nations. What does the sea represent?
The sea is the different nations.
The nations, right? And it says that they were diverse, meaning they were different from one another. Right? So read verse 3 again.
Verse 3. And four great beasts
four great nations, go ahead,
came up from the sea.
They sprung up out of these different nations. Read.
Diverse.
Different from one another. Different in their doings. You know, were the Persian and Medes like the Romans?
Nah.
Were the Grecians like the Romans?
Nah.
And, you know, and they had similar characteristics because they borrowed from one another. They borrowed wickedness. Were the Egyptians like the Romans? Yeah. Because the Romans took a lot of Egyptian custom and implemented it. And that's why even today, when you celebrate and do certain things, you're really following Egyptian custom. You know, we've been hitting it real hard about the astrology. That's Egyptian. The numerology, that's Egyptian. The sorcery, that's Egyptian. You know, one real telltale sign of that is there was a lot of laws given on don't deal with seducers, necromancers, this, that. But where did we come out of that we would have seen that?
Egypt.
We came out of Egypt. They was doing that. They were really on, you know, dancing with the devil and just conjuring up spirits and talking to Ra and El. They were about that. They were definitely about that life. But we seen it. We were there. So he said, there's a scripture in it's like Deuteronomy 18. He said, when you leave Egypt, all the things that you see them do, don't do any of it. Nothing. Don't do anything the Egyptians did. But the Romans, the Grecians, they borrowed from the Egyptians, you know, and again, a lot of the practices that America is in, like, you know, we talk about the birthdays, the astrology, the numerology, a lot of that is, that comes from the Egyptians. All right? So what does the four great beasts represent? Major.
Four great nations.
What does the seas represent? Jocelyn.
The sea represents the nation and people.
Nations, right. What does heaven represent in verse 2?
Power over earth and rulership.
Right, power and rulership over the earth. So what is it telling us? That four nations sprung up to fight for power and rulership. That's what's going on. Four nations sprung up, and now they're going to be jousting for power. Who's going to control the earth? Who's going to control the world? One of those four. Oh yeah. It's a movie, baby. It's an epic, right? Let's go to Daniel chapter 7 and verse 4. Read on.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 4.
So now we're going to get into the four beasts. Now we're going to get into the characteristics of the four beasts. Go ahead.
Verse 4. The first was like a lion.
So the first beast was like a lion. Read.
And had eagle's wings.
Go ahead.
I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. And it was lifted up from the earth.
Go ahead.
And made stand upon the feet as man. As a man's like. And a man's heart was given to it.
Right. So it said the first was like a lion. Right? So, you know, we know a lion is a ferocious beast. King of the jungle. But it said it had wings of what?
Eagles.
It had eagle's wings. So that was like you know what a griffin is? You ever heard of a griffin?
I have.
That's a lion with wings. It's a mythical creature. Right. Like when you look it up, I just defined it real quick. A mythical creature with the head and wings of an eagle, the body of a lion, typically depicted with pointed ears and with the eagle's legs taking the place of four legs. So this was the the first great nation. Okay? Who was it? Who was the first?
Egypt.
No.
No.
After the Egyptians, who came?
Persians. No.
It was what?
Babylonians.
Remember the Tower of Babel, right? Babylonian
Gone.
Empire. So what you put first, when it says the first was like, so the first equals the Babylonian Empire, which came into power approximately 586 BC. Yeah, rampant homosexuality, right? I left that out. I don't know, how did I leave that out? We know that they're the king of they're the kings of the homosexual behavior. I mean, you see it now. 586 BC. So the Babylonian Empire came into power approximately 586 BC. So it said it had like a lion and eagle's wings. It's an image of a griffin that was copied from the Assyrian Empire. You know, all these different nations had their, what's the question? 586 BC?
586 BC.
586 BC is when they approximately came into power.
Con.
You know, all these different nations, they when they hung their banners, they had different animals.
Yeah, different.
Now
symbols.
think about this. A lion with eagle's wings. Come on, man. Ain't that confusion? They ain't no real animal.
Judah and
he said it's like Harry Potter. It's like a mix up with Judah and something else.
Yeah.
But you see, like even Judah had their lion.
Right.
Benjamin had the wolf.
Right.
Issachar had the donkey. Who am I missing?
Maybe Gad. I think.
I don't know if they had an animal that represented, but I know 3 of the tribes had animals that represented the tribe.
Right.
You see, so, but it wasn't, we weren't doing lions mixed with snake faces, and we weren't doing that. But they were doing this to try to represent, I mean, what does an eagle represent?
Envy.
Huh?
Envy.
Well, I would say in war, what would an eagle represent?
You didn't boldness.
Swift.
Yeah.
Swiftness. And a lion represents that fierce, so we're fierce and quick. But I mean, you could have did something else, but they did a lion with eagle's wings. But they took that from the Assyrians, and then they adopted it. The Babylonian Empire, they adopted it. Okay, so jump back where we at. You have something?
No.
Jump back where we at.
All right.
Verse 4.
Verse 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings.
Right. So we talked about that. It's the image of a griffin. If you look up griffin, it'll tell you it's a lion with eagle's wings.
Okay.
That was copied from the Assyrian Empire. Go ahead.
I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. And it was lifted up from the earth.
Right. It was lifted up from the earth, meaning this is when they came into power.
Okay.
They came into power. So you put lifted up from earth equals came into power. Go ahead.
And made stand upon the feet as a man.
As a man, because it was a man. It was a nation of men. So as a man equals a man. Or was a man.
And
go ahead.
And a man's heart was given to it.
Man's heart equals a man's mind. Being Nebuchadnezzar, today known as the Egyptians. The Babylonians, today known as, Ethiopians. So a man's mind. So, I mean, think about a man's mind while y'all write. What does it say about the man's heart? What does it say about the heart of man?
Wicked.
It's desperately wicked. Jeremiah 17:9, right? It says the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. So they weren't, these nations, they weren't moving off the mind of the Most High. We know that. They were moving off their own minds. They were moving off man's minds. That desperation to be wicked, that mind to conjure up evil. We're going to see, man, we're going to bring this all the way back to America. We're going to see where all the wickedness of America came from. and why the Most High got to shut this place down. Why? And then you'll see. Think about it. If these are the four greatest or four great nations in history, I don't want to say the greatest, but they are four great nations. And you know, you could throw Egypt in there as a sub-nation. You know, you got other nations, but these nations promoted wickedness, man. They're the ones that ransacked Jerusalem, destroyed the temple, you know, as you go further into history. But if the Most High destroyed them, why do people think that America is going to stand? Why do people have it's like that proud, I'm proud to be American, right? You got that pride in you, but do you really think it's going to stand, that it's going to last? It's definitely not. It's definitely not. If the Romans, the Persians, the Medes, they all got wiped out, what makes a person think that America is going to stand and just going to last forever? Because you got people that think that, like, America's going to be around forever. America only been around, what, 200 years? Something like that, 400 years? 5,000, couple thousand?
1776.
Yeah. So what is that? That's 2,000, almost 3,000 years, barely?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost up. It's almost up, man. It's almost up.
Can I get one scripture on that?
Oh, yeah.
This is 2 Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 13. Just
y'all throwing gang of names out there. He's like England, Rome. It's all good. It's all good. Go ahead.
Oh, this is not on the breakdown. It's just a scripture to throw in on these nations falling. Go ahead, verse 13.
2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 13. For it is a token of his great goodness when wicked doers are not suffered in a long time, but forthwith punished.
It's like us. Like when we mess up, the Most High make us feel it instantly. But that's a token of goodness. But see, this is how the Most High treats these nations. Read.
For not as with other nations.
Because he treats us differently than the other nations. When we mess up, the Most High comes. He comes and gets us pretty quickly for the most part. Unlike America, unlike Greece and Rome and all these other nations that we just went through.
You got to read verse 12.
Verse 12?
Yeah.
Start verse 12.
Now I beseech those that read this book, that they be not discouraged for these calamities.
Why? Because what do we read about? We read about a lot of butt whooping that we took. We read about a lot of checks that Israel took through history, even now.
Yeah.
You read the book and you're like, damn, I'm gonna get checked for that, checked for this. You know, a lot of Ecclesiastes too comes into play when you read the book.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself for temptation, and then when you do fall to the temptation, you got to be prepared to be chastised.
Right.
So he's saying that they be not discouraged for those calamities. Go ahead.
But that they judge those punishments, not to be for destruction.
Yeah, see, the things that the Most High punishes us for is not for our destruction. Read.
But for the chastening of our nation.
You see that? But therefore to chastise the nation. So even when you read about Deuteronomy 28th chapter, that's not for you to be like, man, F the Most High, and you toss the book. That's for you to say, damn, okay, Most High did that, and then he shows us a way out. Go ahead.
For it is a token of his great goodness.
And that's the love, man. That's the chastening. That's the chastening, because that's what real love is. Like the scripture says, a bastard doesn't get punished. But he who's loved, if you're chastened of the Most High, you're received of him. Mm-hmm. So it's a token of the Most High's goodness that we are chastened when we do mess up. Read.
When wicked doers are not suffered in a long time.
That means that the Most High had some form of mercy on you. As soon as you mess up, he gets you. That's mercy. Read.
But forthwith punished.
But why though? Because he punishes you right away, because he's not letting you keep on doing this wickedness, and now you're adding sin onto sin, and your wickedness just gets higher and higher and higher until you become so headstrong that it's like you got to just destroy the flesh to save the body. I mean, destroy the flesh to save the spirit.
Yeah. The Most High don't want us to be like Pharaoh.
Right.
He's not going to let us. He's not going to get us to the point where, as far as a nation, he don't want us to be like Pharaoh, where it's like Y'all just gonna just do wicked and nothing's gonna happen. Do wicked and nothing's gonna happen. Bro, as a nation, we're getting a whooping. If we weren't, we wouldn't be in captivity. We wouldn't be getting locked up, shot in the streets, high blood pressure. All these things are checks to us as a nation. All the diseases we catch, why do we catch it? Break the law. Everything we do against the law, as a nation, we feel it. Now, remember Ecclesiastes 8 and 11 for because judgment is not executed expediently. Go ahead, read that. Watch.
Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily.
Go ahead.
Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
Right. See, the Most High doesn't want us to get to that point where the whole nation is just fully set on doing evil.
Okay.
So he is judging us, and he's doing it speedily. Okay. You gotta just look. It's there. It's happening every time. It's not coincidental. Nothing ain't a coincidence.
You know, with the part that we read too about the man's heart being given to the Babylonians, when it says that the man's mind, and you were saying, what is the man's mind? It's desperately wicked, and that's what it is, man. They're what happened to the Babylonians was their minds became so wicked that it became fully set in their minds to do evil. It was just fully set. And the Most High doesn't allow us to get to that point. He always chastens us. He always punishes us before.
Come on, these fools are trying to build a tower to heaven. Like, come on. But what does a man's mind go into? When you read Romans, the first chapter, it says because they retain not God in their knowledge. He gave them up, right? He said he gave them up onto, we've been in this Romans heavy. Everybody that's on this fast should be hitting this Romans, right? You want to hit that daily when he said, this is Romans chapter 1 and verse 21, because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. You see that? And changed the glory of the incorruptible God into the image made like corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. So now, instead of worshiping the Most High, I'm worshiping the lion with eagle wings. I'm worshiping snakes, and I'm in Egypt worshiping gods with bird heads and cat heads and whatever heads they got. Man bodies. I'm worshiping the man. What is it? The dude with the horse body and the he got the horse legs and the man body. I forget what they call that. It's Matator or something like that. Yeah, they worshiping that. You're worshiping all these other gods. So this man's heart wasn't a good heart. Finish up in Maccabees. Where you at?
2 Maccabees chapter 6 verse 14.
Read.
For not as with other nations, whom the Lord patiently forbear to punish.
Yeah, the Most High waits to punish them. Go ahead.
Till they be come to the fullness of their sins.
And that's exactly what he did with these nations, and that's exactly what he's doing now with America.
Woo!
That's exactly what he's doing with this country. He's just letting it build up and build up and build up. And that build up is good, man. It's very good, because when for our people that's still out there, that's still asleep, eventually they should, that 1/3 should be able to look and be like, nah, something ain't right. This place is way too wicked. At some point, they should be able to wake up and see that, man, the Most High is real. These Israelites that been preaching on the corners, that been getting shut down by these police officers that we used to make fun of because they look like Power Rangers or whatever. Nah, these brothers was right. This world is wicked.
Read verse 15. Watch.
Lest that being come to the height.
It says that they become the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us. Go ahead.
Lest that being come to the height of sin,
right?
Afterwards he should take vengeance of us.
Right. So the Most High lets them come to fullness to a point, and then he brings them down. It's like the Egyptians. He let Pharaoh get to this point where he really thought that he was going to chase us down and kill us in the Red Sea. But what happened? Because the Most High knew if Pharaoh got a hold of us, it would have been a wrap. He would have slaughtered us right there on the spot. But he said he brought him down so that he wouldn't deal with us and destroy us. Go ahead.
And therefore, he never withdrawed his mercy from us.
Go ahead.
And though he punished with adversity, yet does he never forsake his people.
Yeah, even though he punishes us with adversity, he ain't never forsake us, because again, he chastised those that he loved. These nations that ain't getting the butt whooping, you sitting back like, you know, David said, I almost slipped looking at the prosperity of the wicked. Bro, but David had to think like, wait a minute, they ain't getting checked.
Yeah.
They ain't getting checked, but why? Because the Most High dealing with them like they bastards. They bastard child. What do you do with a bastard? You like, man, let him be a bastard. Go here, do what you do. You ain't my heir. You said what?
Shoe fly.
Yeah, shoe fly. You ain't my heir. You ain't heir to this kingdom. So it don't matter what you do. Right? So let's jump back. That was a good one. Let's jump back. So where we at?
So
we're at verse 5, right?
5.
So we understand verse 4?
One question. A
Yes,
man's
sir.
heart.
A man's heart equals a man's mind.
Man's mind.
Being Nebuchadnezzar, today known as the Ethiopians. So remember, Nebuchadnezzar was the first king of the Babylonians. Then his son Belshazzar came and was the second king.
That's his real name, right? Belshazzar.
Belshazzar, yeah.
And then Nebuchadnezzar was the title.
That's a title.
Right.
Yeah, I can get his name for you. But Nebuchadnezzar was a title. Yeah, a lot of people held that name. Nebuchadnezzar. What's that?
What does and make stand upon the feet as a man mean again?
When it says as a man, because it was a man.
Okay.
Yeah, it was men. It was a nation. Yeah, let's go to verse 5.
Verse 5. Daniel's chapter 7 and verse 5.
So we read about the first beast.
Okay.
Who was the first beast?
Babylon.
The Babylonian Empire. When did they come to power?
586 BC.
586 BC. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 5. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear.
Like to a what?
Like to a bear.
Go ahead.
And it raised up itself on one side.
Read.
And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it.
Read.
And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh.
Yeah, and you know when you read this, it gotta be symbolism, because who can talk to a bear and tell it what to do? Who's talking to a bear like arise, go devour flesh? It already got 3 ribs in its mouth. So it's devouring something. Right? So you know that this is heavy symbolism. But a lot of history involved. So we're gonna break it down. So it says, and another beast. Hold on. Another beast. So obviously another kingdom, another one out of the 4, which was, who came after the Babylonians? Who knows? The Persians and the Medes, right? It was the Persians and Medes. And they came into power at about 538 BC. So another beast equals another kingdom, the Persian and Medes, which came into power at 538 BC.
They came about 48 years later.
48 years later. So you see how these kingdoms, they didn't really last too long. Because as soon as one popped up, another came to take its place. When it says, and the second, like to a bear meaning the 538 BC. 538 BC. Like a bear equals the army was ferocious. The army was ferocious, like a bear.
Yeah.
A bear is ferocious, man. Listen, you don't really stand a chance against a grizzly. Ain't no man really. You don't got a lot of those survival stories, man. Like, yeah, I fought a grizzly bear and won. No, and if you did, you came away with. You probably didn't win. You just escaped and came away with great injury.
They got the teeth. They got power. They got the claws.
The claws, yeah, they're fast. Bears are fast too.
Yeah.
Right? It says raised up on one side equals the Persians had more power and influence than the Medes. Remember, it's the Persian and Mede Empire, but it said it was raised up on one side. The Persians had more power and influence than the Medes. So put raised up on one side equals
Persians had more power and influence than the Medes. Can I go on?
Check out this. Oh yeah, that's a short face bear. Come on, you heard of that one?
Medes is M-E-E-D-S?
M-E-D-E-S.
M-E-D-E-S.
Short face bear. It's extinct.
Bro, that bear is like the size of 2 grown men.
Yeah, it was bigger than the polar bear. That's probably what they dealt with back then too.
Everything was bigger.
Yeah, look at
right?
Oh, come on. You ain't fighting. You ain't doing it.
The 3 ribs. Remember, it said, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth. The 3 ribs equal the Babylonians, because who was in power?
Persian Medes.
Well, at that time, before the Persian Medes, it was the Babylonians. So the Babylonians, the Egyptians, and the Lydians. These were the 3 powers that the Persians and Medes had to defeat to come into power. Lydians. Lydians. Babylonians, Egyptians, Lydians. Yeah, just copy it. I'll just copy it. Yeah, Lydians. These represent the 3 powers the Persians and Medes had to defeat to secure power. The Persians today are the East Indians. The Medes today, what's up?
I just thought about the story I was reading Esther. Esther kind of got him, and then how I see the East Indians act today. I understand how she got them. Just how they so like follow. They like what they call loopy. They like the way they walk around is so loopy.
Yeah,
so I'm imagine like back then. That's how Esther got them.
Yeah,
probably just looping around.
Yeah, I mean, they were ferocious. It said the Medes today are the Aborigines of Australia, the Eskimos, Filipinos,
Australians.
Australians.
Look that up. Look it up.
Yeah, Aborigines of Australia, Eskimos, Filipinos, Hawaiians, Tongans, Tongans, and Samoans.
That represents the Lydians?
That represents the Medes.
And Samoans?
Yep. So those Pacific Islanders that everybody's trying to say that they're Simeon, they're not Simeon. What you got?
It doesn't say who they are. It just says Lydia. This is just looking it up on Google. It says that Lydia. I should look up this artifact. It says Lydia was a region of Western Asia Minor, which prospered due to its natural resources and position on trade routes between the Mediterranean and Asia.
Look it up on a map real quick and let's see what country is next. See, Asia Minor, where were the 7 churches scattered?
Asia Minor.
Throughout Asia Minor. The 7 churches that Paul set up, they were scattered through Asia Minor. Why?
That's where
it's near Syria.
But why though? Because that's where Israelites were. We were in all these little countries. It's right. And so Lydia, yeah, Black Sea, the Mediterranean Sea. It's right above Egypt. Lydia is right above Egypt. Or that's what it would have been called at that time. He's going to look it up real quick. Remember, a lot of these names of these countries have changed.
And you said the Tongans?
The Tongans, Samoans.
How do you spell Tongans?
Tongans. What you got? Okay, he's going to look it up in his honor man. Samoans, Polynesian peoples. Okay, so it's basically those Pacific Islanders.
Yeah, they don't have the community on it.
Oh, really?
Lydia is a woman.
Yeah, well, when you look it up on the map, Lydia was right next to Babylon. It was right next to Babylon. Mesopotamia was down here. Egypt was right over here. So it was right in that Middle Eastern area. Okay? Let's see here. Persia's first king was King Cyrus. Cyrus. The Medes' first king was King Darius. Darius.
Can you spell Cyrus one more time for me?
Cyrus.
Come.
The Persian's first king was King Darius. Darius. It's not showing it? Nah, she had it up there. She had a little map. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I found a better one where it shows Egypt under Lydia.
Oh, okay. Right? Y'all got that? So let's jump back to 7 and 5. So we understand. Read 7 and verse 5 one more time, Lakarab.
Con, Daniel chapter 7, verse 5.
Right.
And behold, another beast.
Which is the Persian and Mede Empire. Go ahead.
A second, like to a bear.
Right, like unto a bear, because their army was ferocious. Read.
And it raised up itself on one side.
Right, because the Persians have more power and influence than the Medes. Go ahead.
And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it.
Right, the 3 ribs represent the Babylonians, the Egyptians, and the Lydians. Go ahead.
Between the teeth of it.
Right, these were 3 powers that the Persians and Medes had to defeat to come into full power. Go ahead.
And they said thus unto it.
Go ahead.
Arise, devour much flesh.
Yeah, go and conquer. Go conquer. So that's what this nation set out to do. Arise, devour much flesh equals go and conquer. Let's go to verse 6.
Verse 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another.
Right? So this is another. This is the 3rd empire. So behold, and lo, another. Go ahead.
Like a leopard.
Right. So another, or the 3rd empire, would be the Greek Empire. And you can put 333 BC. That's when they came into power. 333 BC. And it said they were like what?
Like a leopard.
Go ahead.
Which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads. And dominion was given to it.
Right, so this is where it gets interesting. So it said, like a leopard. So we know that the 3rd one, or another, is the Greek Empire. They came into power at 333 BC. The leopard represents Alexander the Great, whose father was Philip of Macedonia. Now, who knows about Alexander the Greek? I don't call him the Great. I call him Alexander the Greek. Who knows about him? What was his claim to fame? What did he teach you in school?
Sword Excalibur, something like that.
What you know? What you know?
He rose to power quick. He was just conquering different nations real
Right? How quick?
I think quicker than anybody at that period, that time period in history.
You know? No, I thought you had your hand up.
Oh no, but
No?
I think it's like, wasn't it like 8 years?
Close. Close. So he conquered the dark nations within 12 years. Yeah. It says he conquered all known dark nations in just 12 years' time. He was also known for wearing a leopard skull cap. What did that leopard represent? That swiftness, right? That quickness. Yeah, he wore a leopard skull cap. Yeah, that was his claim to fame. He conquered the known dark nations in 12 years, man. He ran through Europe. Remember, at that time, we ran Europe. Europe was ran by the dark, you call it the Dark Ages. We were in power. But this damn Edomite came and did what? He took that power. He ran through everybody. He ran through everything. Right? Now, is it going to go into it? Yeah, I was going to go there. I put it actually, that right here. So, y'all got that?
No.
Right. The 4 wings. It said that, it said like a leopard which he had upon the back of it. 4 wings of a fowl. The 4 wings equals the 4 realms that Alexander's kingdom was divided into. You're going to start at verse 1. Yeah. Right? Hold on real quick. Before you go there, I'm going to just finish breaking down this verse. The 4 realms Alexander's kingdom was broken into. The first realm was Hellespont. And that consisted of Greece and Macedonia. The second, Thrace, Thrace. And that consisted of Bithynia, Bithynia.
No. What was the second one? I'm sorry.
Thrace, Thrace. And that consisted of Bithynia. The third one was just Egypt. And the fourth was Asia, which included Israel, Syria, and Babylon. Yeah, it doesn't, but it does go into something that's going to make sense. It's right here, verse 6. Yeah. The 4 heads, because it says the beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given it. The 4 heads represent the 4 generals under Alexander who ruled each realm. So the first realm was ruled by Cassander, Cassander. The second realm was ruled by Lysimachus, Lysimachus. The third realm, which was Egypt, was ruled by Ptolemy, which was Ptolemy. And the fourth is Seleucus. S-E-L-U-C-U-S. Right? So read down Daniel 7 and verse 6 one more time.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 6.
Right?
After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard.
Another great empire representing the Greeks, like a leopard. That leopard represented Alexander the Great, whose father was Philip of Macedonia. He conquered all the dark known races, all the dark nations in just 12 years. He was known for wearing a leopard skull cap. Go ahead.
Which had upon the back of it 4 wings.
Which represented Alexander's 4 kingdoms, the 4 realms of his kingdom. Go ahead.
Of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads.
And the 4 heads represent his 4 generals that were given dominion over the 4 realms. The 4 realms being Hellespont, Thrace, Egypt, and Asia. Go ahead.
And dominion was given to it.
Right. So there was a point where Alexander, he had to give up that dominion. Go to 1 Maccabees real quick. 1 Maccabees chapter 1.
1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1.
Read.
And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian.
Now Alexander is another man you can read about in history. They talk about him all the time. Alexander the Great. Now, why would he be up in your Bible? And why was this parts of the Bible took it out? Because they wanted to invalidate the fact that the Bible was a book of history. They wanted to make it a book of spookyism and ghosts and goblins. But these scriptures validate the Bible as true history.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, and had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes.
You see that? Go ahead.
That he reigned in his stead.
Go ahead.
The first over Greece. Oh, can I say one thing too?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what's dope about this? Because this the head that we're on right now came after the Persians and Medes.
Yeah.
So it's the Babylonians, the Persians and Medes, and now we're on the Greece.
Right.
And it's showing.
Shows it right here.
That
you have to fight them to come into power.
Okay.
Yeah.
Showing that he's the one that overtook them.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth.
You see that? He said he made many wars and took many strongholds. Nothing stopped Alexander. Read.
And slew the kings of the earth and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations.
Go ahead.
And so much that the earth was quiet before him.
He basically ruled the known world, man. Nobody wanted to come up against this guy. His army was powerful. Read.
Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up.
You see that? He got a man's heart. He adopted that man's heart from who? From the first great kingdom, the Babylonians. That man's heart was handed down. Right? That heart that what? I am God.
Yeah.
Right? When you read in Ezekiel 26, Ezekiel 26 or 16.
That's one of them.
It's Ezekiel. Watch.
I read it today.
It's Ezekiel. I want to say it's Ezekiel's. It's
Oh yeah, you're right. 28.
Yeah. Watch.
Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 2.
Where you at?
I'll start verse 1.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, read verse 2.
Verse 2. Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Salak, Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 2.
Now we know that this is speaking to the prince of Tyrus, but there's something here that we got to understand. Go ahead.
Verse 2. Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith the Lord power, because thine heart is lifted up.
Wait, because what?
Thine heart is lifted up.
You see, all these men handed down the same heart, the same type of thinking. They were lifted up and prideful. Read.
And thou hast said, I am God.
I am who?
I am God.
Read.
I sit in the seat of God.
You see that? This is the type of mind of these men that Alexander, Ptolemy, Darius, All these men that came into power, this is the type of mind that they had. Read.
In the midst of the seas.
In the midst of what?
The seas.
What do the seas represent?
People.
The people. I am the nation. I am the God of the nations. Their heart was lifted up. Read.
Yet thou art a man.
Read.
And not God.
Uh-huh.
Though thou set thine heart as the heart of God, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel.
Uh-huh.
There is no secret that they can hide from thee.
Because let's think about it, man. I know we're dealing with the Greeks, but who comes from the Greeks? What nation? Where we at today?
America.
Americans come from the Greeks. Now, we know that it says, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. Daniel was a wise man. But why are they wiser than Daniel? Why does America put themselves wiser than Daniel? Because of the things that they promote. Because of their information. Because of the so-called wicked knowledge that they carry. It's like, yeah, they wiser than Daniel, man. They out here, come on, they out here turning men into women. And vice versa. Think about it. They're out here changing laws to accommodate. First they put it in law to, yeah, homosexuality is wrong. Then they make a law saying, no, it's okay. You got to accept it. And then they'll put you in jail if you come up against a homosexual. And they call it hate crimes.
Yep.
Right? They know how to deceive you. But watch, read on.
God, verse 4.
Uh-huh.
With thy wisdom and with thine understanding.
Go read.
Thou hast gotten thee riches.
You see that? With their wisdom, their corrupt wisdom and corrupt understanding. This went on at the time of the Greeks, but it's definitely going on at the time now. That corrupted wisdom, what do? They know how to get money out of you. They know how to get treasures out of you. They know how to get you. Read on.
And hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasure.
Read.
By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic.
And by thy what?
By thy traffic.
Come on.
Hast thou increased thy riches.
Read.
And thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches.
Come on.
Verse 6. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God.
Yeah, you see that? Because they set their heart as the heart of the Most High. So all these men came and they were like, yeah, I am God. I'm conquering. I'm winning. I'm in rulership. I'm in power. This was Pharaoh.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So his heart was hardened, but he was so prideful and lifted up. He thought he was God, man. But the Most High had to show him what was what, who was who, and what was what. Let's jump back to Daniel.
Daniel's chapter...
No. First Maccabees. Let's finish that. I'm sorry.
First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse...
You're at verse 4.
Verse 4.
Go ahead.
And he gathered a mighty strong host,
right,
and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him.
Yeah, he ruled over all the dark nations. Remember, we were the dark ages was when blacks, the so-called Israelites, we were in power. We were in power and rulership. 1,000 years. Go ahead.
And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die.
Right. So this is where it goes into, when you go back to Daniel chapter 7 and verse 6, where it says, and dominion was given to it. Dominion was given to these 4 generals. Why? Because he became sick. Now they say that Alexander became sick because he had sex with the horse named Syphilis, called Syphilis, and then he knew he was going to die from it. Right? What's that?
Somebody had a question online.
What's that?
It said, question, is that where they get the 4 horsemen?
Question is, how would they get the 4 horsemen? I believe so. I've heard that. I believe so, man. But that's in Revelations, though. I hope you're not referring to. I know in Revelations it talks about the 4. Right? It talks about the 4 men on horses, and those represented different things. So don't get it misconstrued with the Revelations.
Yeah.
But because I know the Revelations, they got the 4 horsemen also.
I know the 4 horsemen in Revelations, that white one was supposed to be.
Well, one was Yahushua, the red one was Esau. It goes in. Could we have that breakdown too? But I believe so. When they refer to the 4 horsemen, I believe it was referring. Esau refers to himself in these 4 men. Don't quote me. Might be wrong. Read on.
Oh, back in 1 Maccabees chapter 1,
read verse 6.
6. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable.
Right, he called his 4 generals. Go ahead.
Such as were honorable. And had been brought up with him from his youth.
Come on.
And parted his kingdom among them.
Yeah, he parted the 4 realms of his kingdom. That's what we just talked about. The 4 heads equal to 4 generals under him. Cassander, Lysimachus, Ptolemy, Seleucus. Right? Read verse 7.
While he was yet alive. Verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died.
Come on.
And his servants bare rule, every one in his own place.
So Alexander did 12 years, and they'll tell you through history, he conquered the known world, the known dark world in 12 years. See how the Bible, see how the Bible speaks that history?
Yeah.
History just backs it up. Go ahead.
Verse 18.
Verse 9.
Verse 9, Slack. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth.
Right. So let's jump back. And it says, and dominion in 7 and 6, and dominion was given it.
Yeah.
So dominion, the power was given to the Greeks, to the Greek Empire. This is when they took power. Okay. Let's go to Daniel 7 and verse 7.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 7. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast.
Now a 4th beast pops up. Go ahead.
Dreadful and terrible.
Right.
And strong exceedingly.
Read.
And it had great iron teeth.
Ooh, come on.
It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns.
Right. So what is this 4th beast? Who knows? What empire?
I forgot.
Come on, man. We read about it. You read about it all the time through history.
The Romans.
It was the Romans. Yeah, they came. It was the Greeks, and then it was the Roman Empire. Right. So the 4th beast equals the Roman Empire. Pay attention here. It says they start to come into power at approximately 227 BC. Go ahead. They start to come into power at 227 BC and into full power in 27 BC. So before they even got full power, they had about a 200-year reign. Because remember, the time winds down at this time. Time is winding down until we get to 1 BC, then it starts over. So the time was winding down. So from 227 BC, they started to come into power, and then they got full power in 27 BC. So imagine all the filth that was going on in the wars and the fighting. Right? It says, behold, the 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, strong exceedingly. That equals the Roman military legions. They had a very, 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 very strong military.
So it's 227 BC to 27.
Roman Empire starts to come into power at 227 BC. Full power at 27 BC.
27 BC.
And it says, and they stomped the residue, meaning they conquered nations that tried to come before it or after it. They conquered all the nations that came before it, man. They destroyed them. So they had iron teeth, and they devoured and broke into pieces. They destroyed the Greeks. They beat their army. Right? Persians, Medes, all that. They weren't even a factor. But anyone that tried to stand up against the Romans, they were devoured. And it said that they were diverse, meaning they were different from all these other 4 nations. But there was one difference between the Romans was one main difference. Who knows what it is? It has to do with government. I'll give y'all a tidbit. Where did democracy start? The term or the ideology of democracy. Who knows?
Did it start in Rome?
Well, it started with the Greeks, but the Romans were the ones that really took it and made it into a thing. They really adopted the practice and made it into what it really is today. Watch. It says, Greece is more accurately said to be the birthplace of democracy, but the Romans were the true nation, were the first true nation to use the practice, to really get it going. Let's see here. Basically it was anyone that was over the age of 18 could vote. Because democracy, everything else was monarchy, right? Meaning you had a king, and the kingship was handed down to his sons and the heir. So you had, everything else was either a monarchy or it's another one. You had monarchy and then you had something else. Forget the words. I forgot the word. But Rome was the first ones to start voting for their king. Check this out. Go to 1 Maccabees. 1 Maccabees 8. There's a term in here that 1 Maccabees 8 and start at verse 1. Somebody just read it until he gets in here.
Is it monarchy what you're talking about? Anarchy and monarchy?
Monarchy and...
Is there another one?
Monarch. Yeah, it's another term. Oh my gosh. I forgot. It's going to come to you.
Dictator?
That is a dictatorship. I think I'm just looking for monarchy.
I always heard anarchy and monarchy. Those are the two things I've always
Yeah, all the other kingdoms before were ruled by a monarchy. They had a king, and that was it. Let's go to 1 Maccabees 8 and 15.
First Maccabees chapter 8, verse 15.
Start at verse 1.
Verse 1.
So we can see who we're talking about.
Verse 1. Now Judas had heard of the fame of the Romans.
Right.
That they were mighty and valiant men.
Right, so this is Judas Maccabeus. He heard of the fame. He heard about all the wars and how they conquered. Go ahead.
And such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them.
Go ahead.
And make a league of amity with all that came unto them.
Right, so the Romans, they would make a league with anybody that came and wanted to join them. It didn't matter. That's one of the ways they kept their power. Join us, you're good. Come against us, you're done. We got the numbers, we got the weaponry. Right, go ahead.
And that they were men of great valor. It was told him also of their wars and noble acts, which they had done among the Galatians. And how they had conquered them and brought them under tribute. And what they had done in the country of Spain.
So, where was one of the churches that Paul set up? Where was one of the letters that he wrote to? Galatia, right? They were conquered by the Romans. So we had a lot of our people in Galatia assuming Roman identity. You got to understand. You got to see how long the Romans were in power. And they were conquering all these different nations. And a lot of our people made league with them. They were like, yeah, we'll join. Right? Now we understand why Paul had to write to the Galatians and set up a church there, go to Corinth, and go to the Philippians, and go to these, and even the Romans. You have to go to Rome. Why? Because our people were scattered in these different countries. Go ahead and read.
Verse 3. And what they had done in the country of Spain for the winning of the mines of the silver and gold which is there, and that by their policy and patience they had conquered all the place, though it were very far from them. And the kings also that came against them from the uttermost part of the earth, till they had discomforted them, and given them a great overthrow, so that the rest did give them tribute.
Right, so we know it's talking about the Romans jumped down to verse 15.
Verse 15. Moreover, how they had made for themselves a Senate house.
They did what?
Made for themselves a Senate house.
Now, ain't that part of America's democracy?
Right.
They got the Senate, right? They got the Senate that goes, and what do? They vote on a bunch of garbage bills, and they act like they're doing some work. They shut the government down. All these different things, but this is where that practice was adopted from.
Right.
It was adopted from the Romans. They said they made themselves a Senate house, or the house of the Senate, which is what you have. You have it here in America.
Right.
Go ahead.
Wherein 320 men sat in council daily. Salak. Consulting always for the people to the end.
Go ahead.
They might be well ordered.
Go ahead.
Verse 16.
Check this out.
And that they committed to their government to one man every year, who ruled over all their country.
So every year they had a vote, and they voted for a new ruler, a new head of the government, or what you would call, what do they call it today?
President.
A president. You see that? So for all y'all running out there and voting, talking about, I love my President Obama. The practice was adopted from the Romans. That's why we don't vote. We weren't supposed to have no man over us. Remember, when you go all the way back, and when I say we weren't supposed to have no man over us, there was a time where we wanted a king. When you go through Samuels and Kings, there was a time where we asked the Most High, like, give us a king. And he's like, I already got a king over you. It's Christ. But he said, okay, you want a king? I'm going to give you a king. And if he's wicked, what is he going to do? He's going to take your women. He's going to take your horses. He's going to take your land. He's going to take your sons, your daughters, and have them for himself. So we got to see that this wasn't our practice to sit there, oh, we voting. Turn your ballot in, vote or die. Yeah. I'm going to die then. You know what I'm saying? Did he vote or die? It don't matter, especially now. Come on, man. You voting for, you idiots voted for Trump. Y'all are shooting yourselves in the face when you got that tax return. You wish, I know you wish you voted for a Democrat. I know you wish you voted for who was going against Trump? Hillary? No, y'all wish y'all voted for Hillary. That tax return is real slim. Messing around with Trump's old greedy self. Republican, stingy. Right? But we ain't supposed to get caught up in those politics, man. Roman ideology. Where we at?
Verse 16.
And
that one man who ruled over all their country, and that all were obedient to that one, and that there was neither envy nor emulation among them.
You see this? So this is where your first Senate house came from. They had about 300. They said they had 320 men in their Senate. You got 100 now in this Senate.
But they still have. They got the council of 300.
Oh, do they?
They got the council of 300, or the committee of 300, and they're the ones that control everything. They're in the background. Yeah,
you're
they're the ones you don't really know about, that nobody really knows about.
Yeah.
But they're the ones that make everything move and shake.
Oh yeah, they're the puppet masters.
Right.
You think you voted for this guy as your senator? Hey, vote for me.
Yeah.
But no, there's somebody behind controlling him.
Right.
It's all the same. I mean, it really is all the same. You vote for Democrat or Republican, you're just choosing the lesser of two evils. It don't matter. Right. Who you vote for, they're all wicked. Remember, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So, you into politics and all that stuff, that ain't for our people, not these politics. They're called politricks. Right, let's jump back. So that's why Rome was diverse from all the other countries, because they ruled their country with a democracy. Okay? Where we at?
Back in Daniel's?
Go back to Daniel's.
Daniel's chapter 7, and do I jump to verse 8 or hit verse 7 again?
Hold on. 7 and verse... diverse. Huh? We asked for a king because we were wicked. We wanted to be, we weren't wicked. We asked for a king because we wanted to be like the other nations. We were jealous over the other nations that had kings, that had physical kings over them. We had a king. We had Christ.
Exactly.
We had Yahushua.
Right.
But we wanted some physical man, just like when we were in Egypt and Moses went on Mount Sinai. And what did we say to Aaron? We said, make us a god, because we don't know what happened to Moses. So we were so carnal-minded, we looked at Moses as our god.
Right. So
our carnality got us bound up with all these kings. I mean, and who do we get? Who do we get for our king? Who's the first one?
Saul.
We get Saul. Right? And Saul was off. Come on, man. It said the first thing Saul was supposed to go do, he messed up. And the Most High said, it repented me that I've made Saul king. Right? Then we get Saul, and it goes all the way down. We get David, we get Solomon, Rehoboam, Jeroboam. Right? The kingdom is split up. It got split because of these wicked kings. These wicked men that we wanted to rule over us. So we were just jealous of the nations, man. We saw all, remember when we were going through the wilderness and when we came up against these other nations, when we came against the Moabs, Edomites, they had kings. And we wanted to be like them. That's all it is. Forgetting that Christ is the king. Right? That's why the Most High said, you already got a king. They're like, man, we were so carnal-minded. Four beasts. Right, so where you at? Daniel 7:7?
Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly.
Right.
And it had great iron teeth.
Right.
It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it.
Right.
And it had 10 horns.
Right. It said that it what?
Had 10 horns.
Right. So the 10 horns equal the 10 tributaries.
Okay.
Or it's the European Economic Committee, the EEC, and they actually renamed it. It's no longer. It's called the EU, European, or the EC. Damn, look it up.
European Union.
European Union, the EU. They renamed it the EU. So back in 1950, the Europeans, they came together and said, let's create this union between our European nations. So it was these 10 different countries that started it off. Okay? So it says the 10 horns, they're the 10 tributaries or 10 European countries that support Esau today, or the so-called white man.
Right.
And they do. You look at Europe, how do they support them? They're allies, right?
Right.
Do they have allies in Europe with their military?
Yep.
They do the trading back and forth, the United Nations, the UN. All these European countries, I mean, let's be real, they're Edomites too.
That's when they put their sanctions, all of the EU, they just follow.
Yep.
So now nobody in the EU is trading with your country. So your country falls apart.
Yeah, and it's crazy now because the EU consists of 28 countries.
Yeah.
Today. Started out with 6, it went to 10, then it just started climbing. But they're all in league with each other. So he's right. If America says we're sanctioning Cuba, you think that France is going to say anything to Cuba? Or Germany or Russia? Or I don't want to say Russia, they're not part of it. But these smaller countries, Poland and all these little small European countries that, I mean, they really don't matter. They're there, but they got power. But not power like great kingdoms.
Yeah.
Not power like Rome. You see that? Go to Revelation 17 and verse 12. Revelation 17 and verse 12. Yeah, I'll just tell y'all, you can look this up. So the EU or the EEC started in 1950. The founding countries were Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. Nobody cares about them, right? They ain't got no real power. And then Denmark, Ireland, and the United Kingdom joined in 73. And then Greece becomes the 10th country. So those are your 10 horns. You want me to repeat them? Belgium. So your 10 horns equal Belgium, France, Germany, the Italianos, Italy, right? So Europe was the first of the 4 beasts. No, the first of the 4 beasts was what?
Germany, Belgium, and France.
No, the first of the 4 main beasts. Who was the first?
Oh, it was Greece.
Who was the first?
Babylonian.
The first. So could I ask you online? So the first of the 4 beasts or the great nations was the Babylonian Empire. Okay? The 10 horns. We're going through that right now. The 10 horns. So we have Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Netherlands, you have Denmark, Ireland, the UK, and Greece. Okay. All right. Let's go to Revelations 17 and 12.
Revelations chapter 17 and verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet.
Right, because you look at these countries, they're not the main players in Europe.
Okay.
What's the countries out there? The big boys. The big boys is Russia. Russia, Britain, right? Those big guys. You see that? So these are just 10 kings, but they're not going to come into no real power. Go ahead.
But receive power as kings, 1 hour with the beast.
Right. Go ahead.
These have one mind.
They have what?
One mind.
Come on.
And shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
Yeah, because what were they doing? They're funding the beast.
Okay.
They're sending over, like he said, the sanctions, the trades. When have you ever heard America getting into some beef with Belgium? Or beef, you know what I'm saying? Or beef with the UK or Italy?
Never.
No, you don't hear that.
And if you think about it too, like say America was to go to war, right? These 10 horns, they could easily send their troops to help back up. They could easily send their money and support to help pay for the war and pay for whatever is needed. They could always use their land as
stationing
bases, stationers, all that.
Think about it, but we do it though. I always hear from the guys that go to Germany, especially Israel. Like, man, you go to Germany, a black man is treated like a god in the military, a guy in the military. But think about it, don't the U.S. have military bases in Germany? Yeah, they got occupation.
They do training exercises together from time to time.
You see, they train. Oh yeah, they do a lot of the U.S. does a lot of different tactical trainings and taking technology from these little small countries. They train them. They train us. It's hand in hand. They said they were going to give their power to the beast. The beast is America. The main filthy beast, right? The main beast is America. These little small horns is what funds it. Go to Daniel 7 and verse 8.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn.
Right, so you had 10 horns, but then a small little horn poked out. Go ahead.
Before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
Come on.
And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man.
Right.
And a mouth speaking great things.
Right. So the horns equal powers. The horns equal powers. The little horn equals Antiochus Epiphanes, Antiochus Epiphanes / and you put America. So the little horn equals Antiochus Epiphanes and America. And we're going to see how the two correlate, because they do. 3 of the first plucked up equals Antiochus had to war against Ptolemy. Now, let me see something real quick. Go to the very end. I don't want to jump. See something? It goes into it. So y'all with me so far?
3 horns plucked up
equals Antiochus. Oh, where's the last page? Antiochus Epiphanes had to war against Ptolemy, Cassander, and Lysimachus. So who was he fighting against? Y'all remember who were these men? Where's the first again? Who are these first men, man? Are y'all paying attention?
The Greek generals.
Right. It was he was fighting against 3 of the 4 heads. Remember Cassadonia? Cassander was the leader of Hell's Point. Lysimachus was the leader of Thrace. Ptolemy was the leader of Egypt. So Antiochus Epiphanes came and fought against these men. Watch, it's gonna come together when we get into when we go back into the Maccabees. Oh, one verse. Here it is. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. Hold on. I just want to see something. I don't want to go there if we're already gonna go there. So Antiochus Epiphanes had to fight against these 3 men. He had to fight against these 3 men to gain power, right? Just like America had to fight against who to gain power? To come into its own. What 3 wars did America have to fight? Who knows?
Spain.
The what?
Spanish war, fight with the Spain.
Right, who else?
British.
Who else? You got them, you got those 3, who else?
Spain, British, and England? No. Spain, British, and
Russia?
Nope.
Germany.
No. So they had to fight. So for America to come into power, they had to fight Britain, France, and the Spanish.
Oh, France.
British, France, Spanish. Got it. So that's why when you put Little Horn, Antiochus, he had to fight 3 powers to come into power. America had to fight 3 countries or 3 nations to come into power. So during the Greek times, you're right, during the Greek times, the little horn, which is Antiochus Epiphanes, right, he had to fight the remaining 3 generals. During the American times, or during America's time to come into power, they had to fight. I'll give you the wars. It was the my shoulder. Sorry. Let's try to be Michael Jordan last night. Kobe, right? They had to fight. They had to fight. They had to get independence from Britain, right? The Spanish-American War and the French-American War. So those were the 3 wars that America had to fight to become their own power. Y'all with me so far?
Come.
Right. And when it says the eyes of a man, that represented Antiochus. And when it said mouth speaking great things, that was all the lies that they told, man, that they started to come up with in these signs. What were they doing? You read in Maccabees, it said they laid open the books of the law and did what? Go to 1 Maccabees 3:48.
First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 48.
Go ahead.
Verse 48. And they opened the book of the law.
This is what follow me. This is what Antiochus Epiphanes did. Laid open the books of the law. Read.
Wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
This is where they made Christ white, the angels white. They whitewashed everything. Michelangelo, and it goes down into history. Michelangelo, Leonardo, the Sistine Chapel, butt naked angels touching fingers. Right? This is where they changed. This is where they came up with all their lies. The lies that were told by the so-called white man.
Right.
That's who taught it. All right, because Antiochus Epiphanes was a white man. All right, let's not get it twisted.
All right.
Let's go to Daniel chapter 7 and verse 9. So y'all with me so far?
What was that last scripture that you?
1 Maccabees 3,
verse 48.
Verse 48.
3 and 48.
Yes, sir. You want to have that in the arsenal. Daniel 7 and verse 9. Read.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down.
So remember, this is Daniel's given a vision. So he gave a vision of these four beasts that came into power.
Okay.
Right? He described them in code, but we just broke it down. Go ahead.
I beheld till the thrones were cast down.
Come on.
And the Ancient of Days did sit.
Right.
Whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire.
Right. So when it says the thrones cast down, that's representing that all rulership, power, and authority that was given to the nations will be abolished. So the nations will lose their rulership.
Got it.
Who's the Ancient of Days?
Most High.
That's the Most High. Right? It says his garment was white. What does that represent?
Purity.
The white garment. What does it represent?
Purity.
It represents purity, righteousness. Revelations 19 and verse 8. Revelations chapter 19 and verse 8.
Revelations chapter 19.
Hold on.
I'm sorry if I'm slowing us down, but thrones were cast down.
Rulership and authority stripped from the nations.
Come.
Now, I want y'all to see something. The vision is going in sequence with history. Now, the Roman Empire, right? Because this is still part of the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
This is still part of the Roman Empire when you look at it. They carry all the Roman tradition. Now, if the rulership and authority has been stripped from the nations, and now the Most High is intervening, and we're captive here to this man, and if this man that we're captive to ain't Esau, does that mean that we have another captivity to go through?
No.
That's what it would mean, right?
Exactly.
So that means we got another 400 years of slavery according to some people that said the white man ain't Esau. You got to think about it. Daniel right here is breaking that down and showing like, look, rulership and authority is being stripped from these people.
Got it.
So we have another captivity. Shoot me now. God, another 400 years? Come on, man. Is that what you're trying to tell me? You so-called Saudi Arabians are the Edomites? So you mean to tell me we got to go be captive in Saudi Arabia too? How we gonna all get there? Read. Oh, they gonna reverse slavery us? So the white man is gonna sell us to the Saudi Arabians and they gonna put us back on ships again? How's that going? I mean, show me how we gonna do that. See, that's why you gotta know the scriptures, man.
And what captivity was this?
Right, what captivity was this then?
If it wasn't.
If this ain't this was supposed to be the last captivity, the Romans. So, if not, then what captivity is coming?
What is this?
What is this captivity? What do you name it? Where's it at in history?
It's a big part of history, so.
Hey, if we got another 400 years, like I said, bro, cock back the barrel and I'll bite it. Because but you see, that's the madness that Israelites let Esau come up with and interject into the truth, and they run with it like, yes, the so-called white man is the Arabians, the Saudi Arabians. Come on, man, stop. What guns they got? They still behead people. They're not on no level like that.
Exactly.
What black men are they hanging? Who they hanging in Saudi Arabia? Nobody. The curses are happening here.
Man, just the missiles alone that just the nuclear bombs and missiles and the nuclear warfare that America and Russia has alone lets you know that they're Esau. Because Esau is going to be blessed with the sword. You don't see no Arabs blessed with the military might that Russia and America has. Even China in all their glory right now, even their military is not like America's and Russia's, which is two Edomite nations.
Right.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring that point out because as we look at this vision that Daniel's having, these prophecies, Persians and Medes, the Babylonians came and went, Persians and Medes came and went, Grecians came and went, the Roman Empire, yes, has came and went, but this is the residue of that. This America is the residue. So if we got one more captivity, if the dominion was taken after this captivity, but we got one more, then, man, listen, I'm not signing up. Right? Well, let's read on. Go back to Daniel 7 and 9. Read.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 9.
Right, so the Ancient of Days, no, Revelations 19 and verse 8. I'm sorry.
Revelations chapter 19.
Yeah, that's where we were, right?
Revelations chapter 19, verse 8.
Come on. This is dealing with the garments being white. Read.
And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen.
Right.
Clean and white.
Clean and what?
Clean and white.
Come on.
For the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints.
You see that? So those white garments of the Most High, because this is speaking of the Most High, the Ancient of Days, that represented that purity, that righteousness. Go back to Daniel 7 and 9.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 9.
Hair like wool, the Most High had white woolly hair. Just like who? No, just like who? Just like Christ.
Oh.
That's why Christ said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Right? When the apostle said, show us God, he said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Right? It also says he's what? When you go to Colossians, what is he? Go there real quick. Go to Colossians chapter 1. These scriptures just popping in my head. I mean, I'm just adding them as we go.
It's funny how like the scriptures cycle. Because I remember there was a point where these were getting hit a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Go to Colossians 1 and 14.
Colossians chapter 1, verse 14.
Express image.
Verse 15.
Verse 15. Go ahead. Go read verse 14. You have to.
Verse 14. Colossians chapter 1, verse 14. In whom we have redemption through his blood.
Right.
Even the forgiveness of sins.
Let's see here. Oh, no. Yeah. Go ahead. Read on.
Verse 15. Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature.
You see that? He said he's the image of the Most High. There was one that said he's the express image.
That's Hebrews.
That is Hebrews. That's one I want. Go ahead. Read on.
Oh, crap.
It's all good.
Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature.
There it is. Go to Hebrews chapter 1, verse 3.
Hebrews chapter 1, verse 3.
Just write these down. Hebrews 1 and 3.
Who being the brightness of his glory.
Come on.
And the express image of his person.
You see that? It said that Yahushua is the express image of the Most High. So Just when you read in Revelation chapter 1 verse 10 down, and it said Christ, it said his hair and his head and his hairs were white like wool, white as snow, and then it talks about the Ancient of Days having woolly hair.
Yep.
It's the same thing, man. Like father, like son. Right? Go ahead, go back to Daniel's.
Daniel's chapter 7, verse 9.
It says, and his throne like a fiery flame. What was the Most High riding on? What was the Most High on? What's he in? He's in chariots, man. You got it? Yeah. Just like you read in Ezekiel 1 and 4.
Right. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north.
And we went through this in Sabbath class. We went in depth into this, right? Go ahead.
A great cloud.
So it was a cloud, read.
And a fire enfolded itself.
You see that? But it was fiery. The same thing Ezekiel saw in his vision, Daniel seeing the same thing with the Most High. Y'all with me?
Kind.
Let's go to Daniel 7 and verse 10. I'm going to speed up a little bit. I'm trying to get it all out.
Daniel chapter 7 verse 10.
A fiery stream
issued and came forth from before him.
Go ahead.
Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened.
Right. So that fiery stream represented the Most High's power. Ray beams and power that was shot forth from the Most High. Go to Habakkuk 3 and verse 3. Habakkuk 3 and 3.
Habakkuk chapter 3 verse 3. God came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. Salah. His glory covered the heavens.
Come on.
And the earth was full of his praise.
Read.
And his brightness was as the light.
You see that? And his brightness was like a light. It's the same light. It's the same light as that fiery stream in verse 10.
Some Goku stuff.
But that's where they get it from.
Yes.
Right?
All right.
Jump back to Daniel's.
Daniel's chapter 7 verse 10.
And it says thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000. Basically, that's an innumerable amount of angels.
Okay.
There ain't no number you can put on that. All right? It said they ministered, they served the Most High, and stood before him. And judgment was set equals the prophecies fulfilled for destruction of the nations. All right, so y'all with me so far?
Kind.
Let's go to verse 11.
Verse 11. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 11. I beheld then because of the great voice. I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain.
Right.
And his body destroyed and given to the burning flame.
Right. Now, the beast. Who is the beast? Who is the beast? Think about Revelations. Who is the beast that's going to burn?
Satan.
Who?
America.
It's America. Remember, you had these four great beasts, but then you had you had the beast, right? The last and final animal that's going to burn.
Right.
So the beast equals America. And it says the beast was slain, that means it was destroyed. The body destroyed equals destruction of the so-called Edomite nations. You Obadiah?
Kind.
The burning flame equals thermonuclear destruction. Because that's how, and we're going to go through it in another class about the destruction, but that's how this place, that's how America is going to be destroyed. It's going to be destroyed with nuclear fire and fire from Christ. It's going to be epic, but it's going to be fire. Fire with fire, man. And Christ's fire is going to rain. Go to Obadiah 1:18.
Obadiah chapter 1 verse 18.
Go ahead.
And the house of Jacob shall be a fire.
It should be a what?
A fire.
Come on.
And the house of Joseph a flame.
Come on.
And the house of Esau for stubble.
You see that? We're going to eat up Esau, man. We're going to burn him up. Like stubble. Like dry wood. You know how them fires be starting in California?
Yep.
It be so dry, and you just a match that been put out with a lot of fire out there. That's how we gonna run through them. Go ahead.
And devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken it.
Right.
That was Obadiah 3:3.
Obadiah 1:18.
1:18.
Let's go back to Daniel 7:12. So we're understanding this, right?
Got it.
You got it?
Come.
If y'all want, what? Oh, the law. The books that were open were the book of life and the law. You catch that in Revelations
20 and 12.
You got it? Yeah, Revelations 20 and 12. The books that were open.
Got it.
It was the book of life and the law books. Because that's how these nations are going to be judged. They're going to be judged according to the law. That's how we're going to be judged.
Yep.
So it was the law. The only people that have to show parental hatred for children is just the world, is the so-called white man. Yeah. Esau at the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Yep. That's real. Esau is the end of this generation, the end of this world, and we're going to be the new chapter in this earth. All right, let's go to Daniel 7 and verse 12.
Daniel chapter 7 verse 12.
Go ahead.
As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away.
Come on.
Yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time.
Right. The beasts equal the remainder of the nations. Now remember, even though we read up in Daniel 7:11 that the so-called Edomite nations will be destroyed, are they all going to be destroyed? La. It can't be. Why?
Some of them are going to cleave onto us.
That, but why?
Who's going to build our walls?
They're going to build up our kingdom. They're going to build up our walls. So they're not all going to be destroyed. Some of them got to stick around to, you know what I'm saying, water your grass. You know what I'm saying? Pick up the dog poo. You know, niggas going to be having pit bulls and stuff in the kingdom. They'll be trying to have pit bulls and Rottweilers. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to clean up after them dogs and bathe them. Make them smell good. You know, somebody got to wash the cars. I want Esau to do it because they know how to do it. They good at it. They invented all the stuff, so-called, right? They got all the best cleaner. I want them to do that. Right? But they think about it. He that go into captivity shall be led into captivity. Right? So, watch.
You said that backwards.
He that leads into captivity shall be led into captivity.
He said that. He said he that go into the captivity shall be led into
captivity. What's that?
There was a question online.
It says, so how will the Most High say that? Okay, that's going into a whole other topic. We're gonna do a class on that. That's going into a whole other topic. But we got something on that. But yeah, that's going into something. Yeah. It would take us off course from this. Let's see here. Dominion taken equals power, rulership, and authority taken away from the nations. When it says their lives were prolonged, the nations aren't going to be utterly destroyed, but they're going to be held for servitude. They're going to be our servants. How do we know? Isaiah 60.
Verse 10. Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls.
You see that? Read.
And their kings shall minister unto thee.
So we can't just wipe them all out. How they gonna minister unto us? How they gonna build our walls? I mean, we don't know how to work cranes and all the technology they got to build. They know how to do that.
I don't want to learn how to do that.
I don't even want to do all that. I just want to sit back and watch it be built, right?
Yep.
And kick it. You do the work, and I'm gonna lay up in it. That's how they did us. You go build the mansion, build the White House, but you know, niggas built the White House and built America, but guess what? The white man lives up in it and kicks it. So that's what I want.
Okay.
I want the roles will be reversed. Go ahead.
For in my wrath I smote thee,
Uh-huh.
but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
Come on.
Therefore thy gates shall be open continually.
Read.
They shall not be shut day nor night.
Yeah, you see that? Why? Read on.
That men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles.
The what?
That men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles.
Yeah, they're gonna bring what are the forces of the Gentiles? They're gonna bring all their spoils, man. All their riches, all their resources, all their goods. So we can't just wipe them all out. Like, yeah, you're done. Boom. They're not gonna be just wiped out. They gotta be around to build the kingdom. Okay? What's that?
That was 60 and 5.
Revelations, Isaiah 60 and 10 through 12.
No, I'm sorry. Isaiah 60
and 10
and
through 12.
10 through 12. Got it.
Uh-huh. Go to Revelations 25, Revelations 21 and verse 25.
Okay. Revelations chapter 21 and verse
24.
24. Revelation.
So obviously this is talking about the kingdom being rebuilt, right?
Okay.
But check this out, read.
Verse 24, Revelations 21, verse 24. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it.
Are white Americans Edomites? Yes, they are. The so-called white man is Esau. The white Americans are Edomites. The white Europeans are Edomites. You got your Russian Caucasian, French Caucasian. You got your Italian Caucasian.
Yeah.
And they carry that Caucasoid behind them, they're Edomites. The so-called white man, according to the Bible, according to history, according to himself, they're the nation of Edom or Esau. Okay? Go ahead.
And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it.
You see that? The kings of the earth. They're going to bring their glory and honor. All the things that are glory and honored amongst them, they're going to bring it to our kingdom. Read.
Verse 25. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day. For there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything.
Right. That's it on that. From there, go to Isaiah 14 and verse 2. Isaiah 14 and verse 2.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 2.
Just to edify on this point on Daniel 7 and verse 12. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place.
Right.
And the house of Israel shall possess them.
They're going to be what?
Possess them.
Yeah, they're going to be our possessions. These nations. Men, women, and child.
Right.
Just like how we were their possession in slavery. Just like how you're their possession now. That's my employee. Right? They look at you as a possession. They got you your little government number, your social security number. Right? They give you a social card, tax ID number. You're America's possession.
Right.
But we're going to reverse the roles. Go ahead.
And possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids.
Read.
And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors.
Come on.
Verse 3. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow.
That's it on that. Go to Revelations 13 and verse 9. Remember, whom shall he teach knowledge? Them that are weaned from the milk, drawn from the breast. Precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Isaiah 13 and verse 9.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 9.
Yeah, so when all this happens, do we stay the age we are now, or do we live forever and never grow old, or do we still age and pass away? That's going into this ain't really having nothing to do with the question. Your question is going more into the kingdom itself we're gonna hold that for we got a class. We got a class going into the destruction and the kingdom, and so we'll hold that question too, because that's not going into, it's gonna take us off the topic. Go ahead, read on.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear.
Come on.
He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
You see that? He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Read.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
And listen, this is what's going to happen.
Period.
Sorry to burst your bubble, and no, I can't. Nah, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. This is why we fight. This is what the hell I'm fighting for. Get my people out of captivity, reverse the roles, get up in that kingdom. Come on, man. We've been dying far too long. Let's jump back to Daniel 7:13.
Yes, sir. Daniel chapter 7, verse 13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man.
One like who?
The Son of Man.
Who does the Son of Man represent?
Yahweh.
Right. Son of Man is Christ. Go ahead.
Came with the clouds of heaven.
What did he come with? What were the clouds? What do the clouds represent?
Chariots.
The chariots, right? So the Son of Man is Christ. The chariots, or the clouds, represent the chariots. He says it. I believe it's in Revelation. What he said, behold, I come with the clouds. No, that was Christ that said it. He said, behold, I come with the clouds. I forgot. It's in Revelations. Yeah, it is in Revelations. It's like Revelations. But we know that the clouds equal the UFOs or the chariots of the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And came to the Ancient of Days.
So, what does this scripture show?
The prophecy being fulfilled?
No. Forget about the class. What is this scripture showing? Let's look at the scripture. Christ came to the Most High, right?
Come.
So what is it showing?
Showing is that at this time that Christ is coming back.
What it's showing is that God and Christ are two different people, two different things, two different entities. Because you know how they try to say God, that Christ is God on earth?
Oh, so it's saying not Yahweh Shai himself, but someone like the Son of Man?
No. The Son of Man is Yahweh Shai. So the Son of Man came to the Ancient of Days. The Son of Man is Christ.
Huh.
Right?
So what do you mean by the difference of the two?
Well, because in church, what do they teach you?
That they're the same.
That they're the same. But right here, showing you how can you come to yourself.
Gotcha. Come.
You see that?
Come.
So there's another precept to add to your arsenal of. I have a little title in my book, and I write, Holy Trinity. Question mark. Boom. This right here. Son of Man came. What? He came to himself? No, he didn't. They're two different entities. Right? So he came to the Most High. Go ahead.
And they brought him near before him.
Right. The chariots brought Christ to the Most High. Verse 14.
Verse 14. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom.
Right.
That all people, nations, and languages should serve him.
Right. So now Christ has the dominion.
Right.
So again, I pose the question to the brothers and sisters out there that say that the Arabs are the Edomites. When is the next captivity supposed to happen if the Romans fall out of power and then now Christ has the power? What's going on? Where's it at? Gotta know your Bible, man. Read on.
Verse 14. Second precept. His dominion is an everlasting dominion.
Wait, it's going to be for like 5 years?
It's an everlasting dominion.
Wait, it's going to be for 1,000 years and the devil's going to get loose?
His dominion is an everlasting dominion.
Yeah, once Christ is given the dominion, there's no taking it back. We're going to rule forever. This is the kingdom. Go ahead.
Which shall not pass away.
Come on.
And his kingdom, that which shall not be destroyed.
Right. Hold that. Something just hit me real quick in Samuel's. Because everyone tries to say, for those New Testament, those Old Testament Hebrews, Where's it at? It's in Samuel. Those Old Testament brews, man. They try to say that David, you know, this is talking about David's kingdom. It ain't David, man. This is definitely talking about, where is it? Where is it at? Where is it at? I'm gonna find this real quick. It talks about the kingdom being established forever. It's all pitched. See the 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel.
That's consecutive.
Yeah, it is. Second. It goes into David. Yeah. No. Let me see here. Oh, here it is. Go to 2 Samuel 7.
Oh, damn.
2 Samuel
I'm right here with you.
7 and 16.
Hold on, man. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 16.
Uh-huh.
And thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee.
Right. Was now this is speaking of David. This is in David's time that this was spoken, but did David's kingdom reign forever? Like David's actual kingdom? Nah, because look what happened. It was David, then it was Solomon, then Rehoboam and Jeroboam, right? Now, we read in Daniel's that the only kingdom that's going to reign forever and never end was going to be Yahweh Shai. So even in this right here, this was talking about Christ. Even here in 2 Samuel 7 and verse 16, this was a prophecy of Yahweh Shai. Right? Then there's another one. Oh no, you can actually read verse 12.
Verse 12. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers,
read.
I will set up thy seed after thee.
Come on.
Which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom.
This is speaking of Yahweh Shai. Read.
And he shall build an house for my people.
Now we know that Solomon did that, right? He rebuilt the kingdom. Did that last? Read on.
And I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
You see that forever means forever.
Yeah.
There's no time stamp on that. Read on.
Yeah. Verse 14. I will be his father, and he shall be my son.
Come on.
If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men.
Now, was Solomon ever chastened with the rod of men? Who was chastened with the rod of men? Yahweh Shai. Yeah. Solomon was never chastened with the rod of men. He went off. You never read about Solomon getting beat, hung, none of that. He went off, he got all, he died. But Christ, Yahweh Shai, was chastened with the rod of men. Come on.
And with the stripes of the children of men.
Read.
But my mercy shall not depart away from him.
As
I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee.
You see that? But the mercy was not going to depart. Go ahead.
And thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee.
Right.
Thy throne shall be established forever.
Right. You see that?
Right.
So, yeah, just on that Daniel's, man, you can see like Daniel's vision was right on point with all the stuff that was going on in David's time. You see that? Where we at?
Back to Daniel's chapter 7, verse
15.
15.
Right. So Christ was given in verse 14. He was given a kingdom that lasts forever. Read verse 15.
Verse 15. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me.
Right. He was troubled by the vision that he saw. Go ahead.
Verse 16. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the thing.
Right. So who was the one that stood by? We went to the angels class. Who the one that was breaking down things and giving the interpretation? What angel? Who gives the understanding? You about to say it?
You're right. Uriel, yeah.
Right.
That's what I was
He brings the understanding. So the one that stood by was an angel. Right? So Daniel was basically asking for the interpretation of his dream. Go to verse 17.
Verse 17.
Now watch this. The dream is about to get broken down. The vision, is about to get broken down in verse 17 on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Verse 17. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth.
Right, so who are the four great kingdoms? The Babylonians? You don't got to rewrite it because we already have it. I'm just going to say it. The Babylonians, the Persians and Medes, the Greeks, and the Romans. Verse 18.
Verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom.
They shall do what?
Take the kingdom.
Come on.
And possess the kingdom forever.
Right. Who are the saints of the Most High?
Well, you,
Black, Hispanics,
us,
Native Americans.
Yeah, us. The blacks, Hispanics, the Native Indians, right? The saints are the Israelites, right? We're gonna take the kingdom. We're gonna take power. We're gonna take rulership. Go to Psalms 148 and verse 14. We're gonna take that authority away from the nations. Christ is gonna come, do his job, do his business, stomp them out like the wine press. We're gonna run through, do what we do, and then we're gonna rule over them, possess them for servants, for handmaids and handmaidens. Psalms 148, verse 14. Read.
Psalms chapter 148, verse 14. He also exalted the horn of his people.
Right? Come on.
The praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel.
Wait, his people are the world?
Even of the children of Israel.
Wait, the white man.
Even of the children of Israel.
Come on.
A people near unto him.
Read.
Praise ye the Lord.
You see that? So the children of Israel are his saints. It says the saints will take the kingdom. It ain't just going to be handed to us, man. It's going to be a fight. You got to fight for this. All the things that go on in brothers and sisters' heads, you fight that off. Remember, Christ said the kingdom is in you. Right? So you got to fight for that kingdom that's within you to bring forth that kingdom that we all going to dwell in. But you got to fight to rebuild what's inside of you. You got to cast down the imaginations in you. Remember, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but spiritual. Right? So you got to fight for that kingdom within. Build that up, and then as brick by brick, each one of us is a brick. We're all a brick to a greater building. And each brick gets perfected and chiseled and put in place, the foundation. Next thing you know, you got the roof. Next thing you know, you got the gates up, right? Next thing you know, you got a real dwelling place for people to be. That's what it is. Read Daniel 7 and verse 19.
Daniel chapter 7 verse 19. Then I will know the truth of the four beasts, which was diverse from all the others,
right?
Exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron.
Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast. So now we're really dealing with the fourth beast. Go ahead, which is who? Class? The fourth beast is who? The Roman Empire. Go ahead.
Which was diverse from all the others.
Why were they diverse?
Because they made the democracy.
Because they were ruled by democracy. Right? There wasn't a monarchy. Democracy is where they voted in a king, or they voted in a governor or a president. The same democracy that they practice here in America. Okay? Read on.
Exceeding dreadful.
Right?
Whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass.
Right, because why? Their army, the Roman army was, it was many, it was powerful. They had some real military war tactics. Like, they knew how to lie. Like, if you watch like all those old school Roman fighting movies and war movies, their military, their footmen, come on. They were in sync. These dudes they would call out a command, they'd all drop shields. They put the shields together. If the arrows was coming, you couldn't penetrate them. They were fierce. Right? Go ahead.
Which devoured, breaking pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet.
Yeah, they were stomping out the residue of all the other nations, man. They were stomping out. They stomped out all the the powerful nations that came before them. Read verse 20.
Verse 20. And of the 10 horns that were in his head.
What were the 10 horns? You don't got to tell me what they are, but what do they represent?
Union.
The what? Wait.
European Union.
European Union. What did you say, Miss?
Powers.
Yeah, it was the 10 small powers, but it was the E. At that time, it was first named the the European Economic, what was it? EEC? Yeah. But now it's called the EU. When it first started with 6. Then it grew in 1950, it had 6 nations. By 1970, it had 10 nations. Now it's about 28 different countries, if you want to call them. Go ahead.
Verse 20. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other where it came up.
When it says the other which came up, so there were 10 horns and the little one came up, right? Who does that little one represent?
America.
And who else? At that time, it represented Antiochus. Right now, it represents America springing into its power.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And before whom 3 fell.
What were the 3 that fell?
Britain, France, and Spanish.
That was for the America.
Oh, the kings. It was
the 3 generals.
But who are they? Go ahead, Miss.
Peleus, Darius in Egypt.
Seleucus. Who else?
Oh, Bithynian in Egypt.
Well, I'm gonna give it to you right here. The 3 that fell. So Antiochus came into power out of the lineage of Seleucus.
Oh,
he had to defeat Cassander, Lysimachus, and Ptolemy.
Yeah.
So he fought those 3. Cassander, Lysimachus. Remember, this is just repeating. This is just repeating what we read from 7 and 1 down. So Antiochus Epiphanes, to come into power, had to defeat Cassander, Lysimachus, and Ptolemy. America had to defeat France, Spain, and Britain. Y'all already have this written down. It's just repeating.
Come on.
Read on.
Even of that horn that had eyes.
The horn that had eyes represented Antiochus Epiphanes. So-called white people. Go ahead.
And a mouth that spake very great things.
Right. What were they? What was the mouth? What do they speak, man? What do they do? They speak lies. They came up with religion. Right. That's why you got your Catholicism, you got your Christianity, your Buddhism, Seventh-day Disadvantage, all your different religions. Right. These were taught by these things are taught by white people, man. They tell you that you're a Gentile and that they're God. That they're the people of the Bible. You see that? So the mouth that's speaking great things, they calling you a nigger. All the curses that we go through, they put on us by who? By the white man. Right? Go ahead, read on.
Whose look was more stout than his fellows.
Right. Because Antiochus Epiphanes, listen, this guy was a beast. Antiochus Epiphanes was a beast. Go to 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 10 now.
1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 10.
Yeah, Antiochus Epiphanes was brutal, man. He was more brutal than Alexander. He was more brutal than Cassander, than Ptolemy. He was so brutal, these cats didn't even want to fight him. Watch. Go, so we read verse 9, right? That the 4 nations were split. The 4 realms were split between the 4 commanders of Alexander. Now let's read verse 10.
Verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root.
Right? So the wicked root, or the little horn that sprung up, was who? Read on.
Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes.
You see that? You see how the Bible is hidden history? So filthy. Come on, read.
Son of Antiochus the king. Who had been an hostage in Rome.
Right.
And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
Go ahead.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are around about us.
Read on.
For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Right, because this was our people. It's like, man, we got to go cling back onto the heathen. Since we left them, it's just like when we were in Egypt. And what happened? It's like, man, Moses, you took us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness. We need to go back to the flesh pots and the fish and the leeks and the onions. We was ready to sell ourselves out for food and water. But it's the same instance thousands of years later where now it's time to separate from the heathen. And we're like, no, we gotta be with them. We gotta be with them. But then guess what? Thousands of years later, here in America, oh no, I'm an American. I'm proud to be an American. You got niggas running around talking about they proud to be an American. Like, no, I can't. No, this is my country. I love my country. I love my president. This give me reparations. There's a damn about reparations. You should be wanting to get up out of here. You rather take 40 acres and a mule than put in the work for Christ to come and get up out of here so you can rule. You want 40 acres and a mule. You think that we think that's the kingdom.
Like, what is that?
Bro, 40 acres and a mule means you gotta go work. What the hell you gonna do with 40 acres? You see how people don't even think? It's like we still want to be in slavery. Give me 40 acres and a mule. You know what they used mules for back then? They used them to plow the field. So you saying basically, put me to work, white man, with the reparations you gonna give me. Niggas is dumb. Stupid, man. Sottish children, like the Bible says. But that's why it says in Hosea, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. We don't even consider our ways, man. Read on. You got something to say? Go ahead, read on.
Verse 21.
No, go back to Maccabees.
Oh, slide. First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes.
Right, you see that? So jump down to verse 18.
Verse 18. And made war against Ptolemy.
So this was Antiochus Epiphanes. He made war against Ptolemy. Go ahead.
Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him.
Why? Because Antiochus was fierce. Like it said in we just read it. Damn. We just read it. It said that he was more stout. He was more stout because why? Bro, it said that he was the wicked root. He was more wicked than all of them. Go ahead.
But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled. And many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
Right, so all that. So let's jump back. Where we at now?
Verse 21.
Read.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 21.
So y'all are getting this, right? Right, so y'all are understanding about Antiochus Epiphanes? And he was a it said he was more stout than his fellows. It's because he was more wicked. He was willing to go to the limits. You got to understand about Antiochus. When they went into Jerusalem, bro, it wasn't like we're here, we want to be friends. He went in and started slaughtering people, sacrificing pork on the altar and raping women in the sanctuary, and they defiled the temple like more than any other nation. This is the white man that our people run to here in America.
Got it.
It's the same white man. It's just generations down the line. It's the same people. We got to see it. Read on.
Verse 21. I beheld, and the same horde made war with the saints.
You see that? So when we just read, it says, and he entered, go back to Maccabees real quick.
Verse 20. Or verse 20.
Yeah, verse 20.
Verse 20. And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
Go ahead.
And entered proudly into the sanctuary.
Yeah, he was prideful as hell. Heart lifted up in him. Right? Again, that man's heart that we read about earlier. Go ahead. That desperation to be wicked. Read.
And took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof.
Now, if you're with us in the Sabbath ceremony, and we've been reading about all these different vessels and the altar of gold, and think about how much care we put into these things. Think about how much care we put into these things, and then this dirty, filthy little white man comes and just takes them like they're his. Think about how much care the Most High had us put into just the vessels of the sanctuary. And this disgusting white man comes and just steals them all and just treats them like it's nothing. Read on.
Verse 22. And the table of the showbread, and the poured vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil.
And the veil. Remember we read about the veil last class? It was made of the purple and the scarlet and the blue.
Yeah.
And how much care they took in just making that. Come on, man. It's giving me a better understanding now that I'm reading it. I'm sitting here like, damn, these guys really went in and defiled the sanctuary.
Right.
Go ahead.
And the crowns and the golden ornaments that were before the temple.
Read.
All which he pulled off.
All which what?
He pulled off.
You see that? He just went and started pulling things down. Like, yeah, that's not necessary. He just started defiling the temple. Read.
He took also the silver and the gold. And the precious vessels also he took, the hidden treasures which he found.
Go ahead.
And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land.
Yeah, he took all the spoils, went back to his own land. Come on.
Having made a great massacre.
He did what?
Having made a great massacre.
Yeah, he was killing folks, small, men, women, children. Go ahead.
And spoken very proudly. Therefore there was great mourning in Israel, in every place where they were. Right. So go to verse 38. Verse 38. And so much that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers. Right. Come on. And became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. Right. So this is dealing with 70 A.D. Right. So 70 A.D. is when the Edomites overthrew Jerusalem. Okay, also in 1453 A.D., the Edomites, posing as the Ottoman Turks, overthrew Constantinople. So two different dates here where in verse 21 of Daniel, it said, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Y'all see that? Go back to Daniel 7:22. We almost done. We got 15 minutes. We got 28 verses. We almost done. All right, Daniel chapter 7, verse 22. Until the Ancient of Days came. Ancient of Days is who? Most High. Come on. And judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. Come on. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Right. So, until the Most High gives us vengeance on our enemies in Israel, and the Israelite kingdom will be established. Ezekiel 25 and verse 14. Ezekiel chapter 25 verse 14. Go ahead. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom. You see that? Why? Because, man, the things that they have done through history, it ain't just now. It's historical. You go all the way back to Alexander the pedophile. Christopher Columbus. If you didn't know, he was a white man. He was an Edomite. He was just a Spanish Caucasian, right? He came from Spain, right? Yeah, he wasn't no Toltec Indian or no Aztec. He was a Spanish Caucasian. Go ahead. And they shall do with Edom according to mine anger. They shall what? Do with Edom according to mine anger. This is only gonna happen though through the Most High giving us the power. He said we're going to do with Edom according to his anger. Come on. According to my fury. And you did the Most High and furious with Esau? Oh my gosh. It said that the house of Jacob is going to be fired and the house of Israel a flame, and they're going to be like stubble. We're going to burn them up. Read on. And they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord God. Was that verse 14? Yes, sir. Go back to Daniel 7:23. Daniel chapter 7, verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms.
Come on.
And shall devour the whole earth.
Now, pause right here. You see, now it's transitioning. I want to show y'all something. It said it shall devour the whole earth. Did the Romans devour the whole earth? Now, did America devour the whole earth? Yeah, they did. America has devoured this world. You know how? Through their philosophy, through their technology. Everyone wants to be like who? Like Big Brother. Everybody wants to be like Big Brother. Go to there's one that you pulled, man. It's in Jeremiah. You pulled this a while back. I had to steal it. No, I don't remember where he pulled it. It goes right with Revelations. They drunk every.
It's 51.
It's Jeremiah 51.
It's like in those high numbers.
Watch. Go to Jeremiah. It's Jeremiah chapter 51.
Verse 7 and 6.
Verse 6.
Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 6.
Go ahead.
So
now, because it said they have devoured the world, right?
God.
They have devoured the world. How? Well, America's influence goes, it transcends. It transcends. Think about it, man. They got the Chinese and Japanese, they got them celebrating Christmas. They got them celebrating Thanksgiving. Like, other people in other countries, if y'all didn't know, Christmas is a worldwide thing. Halloween is a worldwide thing. It ain't just America. New Year's, I'm like, y'all celebrate New Year's in Egypt? They're like, yeah. We deal with the dude for the oils. He's like, oh yeah, it's New Year's. We on holiday. I'm like, nigga, what are you talking about? You know damn well the New Year's is in April. They know that, but they celebrate America's New Year. So America, and forget about just holidays. Look at the homosexuality. Look at the trends. You got white boys out there in Europe trying to sag, trying to rap, right? So they're not only following America, they follow us too, but they follow the American way of doing things. You know, the way the police deal with blacks in these other countries is the same. They'll shoot a nigga in Europe too. They'll bust one in you in Canada too. It don't matter. But they get that from America. They get it from Big Bro. Read.
Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity.
But this is what's going to happen. All these countries are going to be cut off in America's iniquity because they follow it. Read.
For this is the time of the Lord, vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense.
Yeah, it's going to be payback. Go ahead.
Babylon hath been a golden cup.
Right. Babylon, or the fourth beast, has been a golden cup. It's like, oh yeah, that's a nice cup. Let's drink from that. You know me, I'm real particular with the cups I drink from.
God.
I be having like cups. I'm a cup guy. I am. I'm like, man, I like that cup. They're like, that's the good cup. So I'm like, yeah, I want that. I want to drink water out of that cup. That's how I am. I'll go and take your good cups and drink just regular old water out your good cups when I come to your house.
God.
Right? Everybody knows that about me. Right? But America, but think about it. Everybody's looking at America as this cup. Like, we want to drink out of this cup. We want to see what this cup got in it. Go ahead.
Has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand.
Go ahead.
That made all the earth drunken.
It did what?
Made all the earth drunken.
Yeah, it devoured the earth, man, with America's with their influence, their government policies, right? I think it's going to go out and tell us. But with all their filth, man, sex robots, chaining men into women.
Oh, they have gay day parades in Jerusalem.
Gay day parades in Jerusalem. They got the biggest one in Tel Aviv. I mean, that's the biggest homosexual parade and day and week. If you want to be a faggot and you want to be comfortable, go to Israel. They'll make you real nice and comfy. They'll accept you with open arms. But where they learn that from?
America.
They learn that from America. Doing what? We're going to read, but changing laws, changing policy. Read on. Let's get it out.
The nations have drunken of her wine.
Come on.
Therefore, the nations are mad.
But now, there's going to be a time when everybody's going to be pissed off. It's like, wait a minute, we accepted homosexuality? America was going around. If you didn't know, Obama was going country to country. Like, listen, if you don't legalize homosexuality, we're gonna put sanctions on you. They even went to my little country. They went to Jamaica and tried to do that. If you don't ease up on the faggots, we're gonna sanction your country. They're like, bruh, sanction us. We poor as hell anyway. It's not like y'all let us export anything. Everything's imported. Jamaica got enough. That little country got enough to sustain itself if they did things right. But they import more than they export. It's sad. Even other countries, you know, you got countries like Haiti, the same thing. Dominican Republic, all these countries that could be self-sufficient, they're islands. You don't need nothing from America. But they feel like they do. They feel like they need the American dream. All these people, man, they come from these countries chasing the American dream. And what do they get? They get $5 an hour, nigga. They get a job washing dishes. They get a job cutting grass. That's what you get. You got to get something under the table because you had to come in illegal, right? So you couldn't get established. And then a little bit of money you get, you trying to send back to family. And they just want more and more. So the influence is wrong. The countries are mad. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Babylon is sevenfold.
Right. So that's it on that. So jump back to Daniel.
Daniel's
7:23.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast,
which is the Roman Empire / America, read,
shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth.
Come on.
Which shall be diverse from all kingdoms.
Why? Because of their democracy, their way of government. Read.
And shall devour the whole earth.
The whole earth. What did the Romans do at a time? The Romans conquered the known world at that time, right? What does America do? America is basically policing the whole earth, man. When you look at it, America's in charge. It don't matter. It don't matter. You think North Korea? Come on, stop. You think South Korea? Quit it. South Korea probably got like 3 or 4 nukes. America, come on. America will launch over there, and where will they launch from? They'll launch from France. They'll launch from Japan. They'll launch from Germany. They'll launch from all these other 10 countries that we spoke about earlier. They don't gotta fire nothing from America. They're not gonna give up none of those halo positions. None of those silos. They're not gonna give those up. But they'll launch from these other countries that we talked about, those other 10 horns. You see how powerful America is, that influence? So the whole earth is, the Romans conquered everything at that time. America has their influence on the world now. Read verse 24. How did they do it? 24.
Verse 24. And the 10 horns out of his kingdom are 10 kings.
Right, the 10 kings, or the 10 countries from the EEC, the European Economic Economic Commission, or the EU. Go ahead.
That shall arise. And another shall rise after them.
Right. The other that was going to rise was Antiochus Epiphanes / America. You see how it correlates?
Go
ahead. Daniel 7:25.
Verse 25. And he shall speak great words.
And he shall do what?
Speak great words.
Come on.
Against the Most High.
How do they do it? Christ is white. Right? You a Gentile. You a Negro. A spick. A spook. A wetback. A monkey. You a porch nigga.
Everybody was white except him because that's where we're from.
Everybody was white? Everybody was white except Hannibal? Yeah, because we're the Canaanites. We're cursed.
Yeah.
You know what's so crazy about white people? You gotta love them. Black people are the most scariest people to the white man, right? But how come they weren't scared of us when they had us up in their house during slavery, cleaning their house and breastfeeding their babies? Like, what changed?
Subjection.
You know what's sad though? We're still in subjection to them. So how are we the most scariest thing on this earth? But we weren't scary when they literally lived with us. We warmed their beds. Y'all know that, right? We used to lay in their beds and warm it up. Then get out, get on the floor, they'd lay in the warm bed. We wasn't scary then. We wasn't spooks and niggas then. I mean, we really were, but think about it. You gotta think about the psychology of this man. And then he uses Christ as a white man to keep you in subjection. Right?
Go
ahead, read on.
and shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
And it's wearing our people out. He wears us out with religion. He wears us out with the food that we eat. He wears you out with his education. You getting worn down, bro. Our people are worn the hell out. Can't even fight. We like a lion that's on his last leg. We
like a lion in the zoo.
We ain't even crouching down. Yeah, you like that lion in the zoo. Like, I give up. Just feed me.
You look at the grill like.
No, you look at the people like, just feed me. Toss me a bone. Right. You just waiting to get fed. You just waiting for the handout. Yep. Because they're trying to wear us out. Go ahead.
And think to change times.
Right.
And laws.
Yeah, we just hit it, right? Daylight savings. The hell is a daylight savings? Right. When did that? I mean, then you got Trump, idiot self, talking about he's going to put in law to keep daylight savings the way it is. What? Yeah, he's gonna, like, basically the time won't go backwards no more. He's just going to keep it the way it is. I mean, you got to remember, you got Arizona, and there's one more state that doesn't do daylight savings. There's laws that they enact where they don't set no clock back or forward. They just leave it the way it is. Daylight savings was made up by the government to try to save money and try to reserve energy. They did that because think about it. The longer you have daylight, the less you have to turn on what? These lights. So yesterday it got dark at what time?
8 o'clock.
Yeah, it got dark at like 8 something, right? Well, before it got dark at like 5 something. So now you have 3 more hours of daylight, supposedly, which they don't make no damn sense because you have equal 12 hours of both. You have 12 hours of both. So how do you have more daylight? Like, you see how they try to invent things and invent changing times? Yeah. It's all confusion. So then when you do that, what does it do? I heard they're trying to add a 13th month to the lunar calendar. Or the zodiac. Well, they already did that. They added a 13th zodiac, right? But I think they're trying to add another month. It's something weird that they're trying to do. But they're trying to seek to change times. They added 3. Think about it. The moon cycles itself every 30 days, right? What's 30 times 12? Come on, man. 360. 360. 30 times 12 is 360. I don't know. It's close. It's definitely not close. 30 times 12 is 360. So that means that for the new year to the new year is 360 days, which is 360 degrees is a perfect what?
Circle.
Right, but how we get 365 days a year? Right? And then on a leap year, you got 366 days. That's every 4 years. So what time are we really in? Huh? Right? What time are we really in?
That's interesting.
Ah, come on. That right there is a mind blower. We've been counting. We don't know what year we in.
I thought about that a long
Y'all shy come right now. It's like, damn. Everybody's talking about the 300 years. The Gregorian calendar was the first introduced. Let me see here. The Gregorian calendar was first introduced in 1582, but it took more than 300 years for all different countries to change from the Julian calendar. September 1752 in North America was exceptionally short, skipping 11 days from the 3rd to the 13th. They skipped 11 days out of a month? Yeah. Come on. Think about that.
That's the history.
Think about that. They took 11 days out of the year. Like, yeah, that don't matter. We don't need those 11 days. But you got to see that. But now they changed time, so we sitting there talking about the 400 years of captivity, the 350 years we're going to talk about here. It's like, we don't know when that is.
It was actually 100.
We don't know because they changed the time. They added days to the calendar. So what is it up to us to do? He had endured unto the end. The same shall be saved. Don't be dismayed at the signs of the times. The heathen are dismayed. Right? Read on.
And laws.
And what?
And laws.
Yeah, now you got gay rights. Now you got animal rights. Like, when the hell did the animal need rights? Now you got homosexual rights. Right? They didn't have no rights according to the scriptures.
The kids can just divorce their parents.
Yeah, the kids got rights. You can divorce your parents and you can be Emancipated at 12 or whatever age. 16. Now you a grown up now? 16-year-olds can barely get jobs and driver license.
Right.
You don't even know how to ride the bus properly at 16.
Right.
But you emancipated, but you see they changed laws. They changed laws and times. Why? To wear you down. Think about it. Look how they doing, man, look how they did R. Kelly, Bill Cosby,
8 years old.
Michael Jackson. Yeah. They taking stuff from 20 years ago to convict these dudes. You mean to tell me that there's a law of limitation for everyone else? Statute of limitation for every other criminal. But for these three Negroes, there ain't no statute of limitation. Their crimes can be pulled up. Michael Jackson's, whatever he did or didn't do can be pulled up from the 90s. The nigga is dead. MJ gone. Our nigga dead. Leave him dead. Leave him alone. R. Kelly, you bringing up charges from the 90s. Another sex tape from R. Kelly. We don't know if it's him, but he was bald.
Yeah, black police officers taking the law for a lot of stuff like that.
Oh, really?
1,400 cases. Oh,
damn.
It's going down.
But you see how they do us, man. They Oh, he was trained there? He was that guy?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, it was.
I didn't hear about it.
It was a meme that said they're gonna charge Bill Cosby from stuff he did 80 years ago, but they're not gonna charge the girl who was involved in killing Emmett Till.
Yeah, Emmett Till's the woman that lied on Emmett Till.
And she's
still alive. She's still alive too.
2017, she admitted that she
lied. Yeah, they ain't gonna charge her. They ain't gonna do none of that. They ain't gonna charge Charlie Sheen. He ran around talking about he was hitting chicks while he had AIDS.
What's the other boy? The movie.
Kevin Spacey.
Nah, the director.
I forget his name, man. Oprah kissing up on that dude.
Yeah.
Weinstein.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna, look how many charges he got.
It's free.
But they changed laws for their people, and they changed laws to keep. Listen, they'll put you in jail for stealing. They put a chick in jail for 5 years for stealing a pair of shoes. Never had a crime. Never convicted of anything in her life. But then a white man will rape a baby, and they'll give him 90 days in house arrest.
Hold themselves not accountable.
Yeah, they'll slay you and hold themselves not guilty. But that's how they do it, man. That's how they wear us down. Read on. Let's finish it up. Damn, 10:06. What the?
And they shall be given into his hand.
Right.
Until a time and a time.
Right. So the time, given into his hand represents that slavery we went through. The time is 100 years. So time equals 100 years. Times equals 200 years. Go ahead.
And the dividing of time.
The dividing of a time is 50 years. 350 years of slavery. When did slavery start? 1619, 1620-ish. Slavery in America. The first slave ship hit Virginia in 1619, 1620. All right? So from 1620 to 1970, that's 350. 1970 is when the truth started to go out on a wide scale. Okay? That's when we started to wake up. Y'all see that? You see how it goes? If you do that math, that's what it'll be. 1620 was the official start of the slave trade. 1970 is when the knowledge of the truth began to be taught on a wide scale. Read verse 26.
Gone. But the judgment shall sit.
Go ahead.
And they shall take away his dominion.
Read.
To consume and to destroy it unto the end.
Yeah, and the prophecy will come true and Israel will take power. Because as we went through most of the vision, it's already happened. Right? So why would the Most High let part happen and the other part not? Well, that's up to the Most High, but we know it's true. The Most High is not a man that he shall repent. No. Right? Or a man that he shall lie.
God.
You see that? He ain't gonna lie, man. He ain't gonna say that it's gonna happen and it's not. Read.
Right. Verse 27. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints.
Right, the kingdom is going to be given to Israel. Read.
Of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom.
Go ahead.
And all dominions shall serve and obey him.
You see that? All dominions. No matter what dominion you in, they're going to serve and obey Christ. Read.
Hitherto is the end of the matter.
Come on.
As for me, Daniel, my
cogitations
much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me. But I kept the matter in my heart.
Right, and that was the end of the vision. Any questions?
Can I drop one thing that I noticed?
Yeah.
This was something I had noticed earlier, man. Back when in verse 21, when we had pointed out how the Edomites, as the Ottoman Turks, had overthrew Constantinople, right? This happened in 1453 AD. Now, if you think about this, because you might think that that was like a super long time ago, it was. But if you think about it, that's when they overthrew us, when we were controlling Europe. And that's really when the white man really came into power again, right?
Right.
It's 70 years from that would have been, around 70 years from that would have been the year 1519. That was when the conquistadors first came to Mexico to start conquering. So 70 days after we fell
70 years.
out of power, 70
years.
Around 70, after we fell out of power in Europe, 70 years from that, that's when they first set foot in Mexico in the year 1519 to conquer Mexico. That's when they started invading Mexico. 2 years later they did, which was 1521. But then 100 years from that, that's when the first slave ships in the year 1619 and 1620 started hitting America. So it wasn't like a super long time from the time that we were ruling Europe to where like just
they came and took over. That little horn, which was America, sprung up into a great power. You see, you got to see the correlation between the two. How Antiochus, out of nowhere, sprung up. How Antiochus sprung up. When you read about Antiochus, he's the product of Alexander. He's generations from Alexander, but he's a product of Alexander. America is generations from the Babylonians, but is a product of those four beasts.
Same structure.
Same type of structure, but then they really, characteristics, democracy, all that stuff came from Rome. The Grecians, then Rome. So I mean, y'all get it, right? Y'all get that Daniel 7. So now y'all can read it and really understand. Oh, let's talk about this. Oh, snap. Any questions? Yeah, y'all can do history on this stuff, man. Y'all can look up, like the European Union. Y'all can look up Alexander, Ptolemy. You can look up the Romans. Look them up. No, not him. Talking about the one that he was in. He ran. Yeah, one of the four. He ran Egypt. You can look these people up. Seleucus. You can look these people up, man. They're real people in history. All right. I thought daylight saving time meant this country was still at wartime. That one I never heard before. I just knew they did it. What I heard was that the government they threw that in a bill to save money on energy.
I believe the government does it. With the military bases, they shut the energy off. They shut everything off.
Shut everything off during the day and then kick it on during the night.
Well, we're not during the day. We do like one time in the morning. We do it for like 8 hours or not like 5 hours.
Oh yeah, to save.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, but I mean, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that either. But remember, every country don't do daylight saving. Every state doesn't do daylight savings. It's two states. It's Arizona and it's another state that doesn't do it. It's the heathens trying to portray us as savages.
He was answering Miss Kita's question about that.
Who are the Gentiles? Well, there's different types of Gentiles. You have Israelites in a Gentile state of mind. So if you're a black, Hispanic, or Native Indian by blood, and you think you're an American, and you're proud to be American, you're a Gentile.
Definitely.
That's what it is. When Paul went and ran to Rome and Greece and Asia Minor, when he was going through all those different places, and he was dealing with the Gentiles, he was dealing with Israelites in a Gentile state of mind. So that's what a Gentile is. Then you got your heathens.
Hawaii.
Huh?
Hawaii is the other place that doesn't do daylight savings.
Oh, it's Hawaii?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anything else? No? Good class. All right, and we thank everybody for joining us. Again, remember, Passover is on April the 21st. Please RSVP as far as if you're coming, what guests you're bringing. We got the location. We just need to secure some lamb. And you can't have Passover without the lamb. Gotta have that. That's law. So if you'd like to help out with that, the Wells Fargo is on the screen. The Google Wallet is on the screen. Yeah, we definitely thank, Indiana also. Yeah, we definitely thank y'all for joining us. If there's no questions online, nothing in here, we're going to say shalom.
Shalom.
Jesus is real, but you devils taught lies on Christ. So many lies that when we come with the truth, people think that the lies is the truth and that the truth is the lie.
Who changed the truth for God into a lie? In English, Jesus Christ, in Hebrew, is Yahweh. So do or die. The Immaculate Conception is deception, along with the myth of giving gifts on December 25th. Christmas is Satan's clause, the birth of Nimrod, and not the Son of God. To you was kind of odd. On the Passover, Christ was born in the spring. So now we bring the truth about the King of Kings. That's Black Jesus and not Caesar Borgias. And the facts can't be changed. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh.